Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to race number 14 of the second season of the BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series. It's the penultimate race after tonight. We will know out of the 16 drivers that started this journey in the playoffs who the final four will be to battle out for the championship next week at Auto Club Speedway. Here tonight, though, we're in the Bluegrass State, Kentucky Speedway. It is where it all comes to a head. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Scott Rank. And Scott, you get to use that pen for one final time this season. Coming into tonight, who is out? Who's still got a chance as things stand right now?
Look, I mean, so there was some conjecture over at the start of the race. You know, last week how I sort of said I started crossing names off and I started, writing things down. Everyone thought, maybe that's a little bit early. Maybe he's got his numbers wrong. Well, got my numbers this week. I brought numbers. I did math homework, ladies and gentlemen. I hate math. Two drivers are effectively eliminated. Those are Chris Woodard and TJ Roberts. The scenario for Noah Owens to get himself back in is immense, and it basically required Kyle Gartner to not start the race, and he's in. So, I think. I'm not seeing the driver of the 40. No, there he is. He is in. So, therefore, yeah, I mean, that's it. We cross off a couple more drivers. Noah Owens, that then gets a pen through. Brock Whitehead gets a pen through. In fact, I don't even see Brock in the field tonight, so pen through for him. Gene Cato, Joshua Billiter have to have amazing points nights. And Kyle Gartner would need to have an atrocious points night. And they would need everyone ahead of him. This is the scenario, basically. For each single, there is effectively, right now, two spots that are up for contention. DJ Daniels and Cam Caldwell, they are 19 points clear of Kyle Gardner. That means for each driver that's below the cutoff line, you have to add another 19 points on to what they need to get to overrun those guys. Pretty much, Daniels, Caldwell, for my part, I think they're locked in. I don't think they're going to be out there tonight, and they're just basically going to be going, stay out of the chaos, keep the car alive, and keep your championship alive that way. Don't need to do anything tonight. For everyone else, they need to have the race of their dreams. Tom Bourne, Alexander Kerfan, those are the two below the cut line, the closest to the cut line at negative 11 points. So they've just got to beat Kyle Gartner by 11 points. Alternatively, they can beat Aaron Brown by 18 points and they're in. Then it starts to get further back. Lawrence needs 16 points over Gartner and needs to beat both Bourne and Kerfan by 5. Or else he's not getting in. So that's basically the margin. For each position you keep going down the list, it's basically you're adding more and more numbers into the mix that need to have a bad night, Seth.
One thing that's going to be on the side of some of these drivers that are at least within the 20 to maybe 25 point range of a spot in the Final Four is 28 drivers are scheduled to take the green flag here tonight. So a lot of points up for grabs for these drivers here this evening. We'll have to see at the end of the night, once the checkered flag waves, who the Final Four will be. But we're moments away from finding out with the green flag flying. Let's go down for pre-race ceremonies and begin things with the invocation tonight, courtesy of Pastor Zach Woods.
Almighty God, I thank you for technology like this that connects so many people from different parts of life under the shared passion of racing. And Lord, tonight we just pray that we have patience and wisdom tonight as we try to set a Final Four for a championship. God, we just thank you for how far you've brought us. We are so excited for what you're going to take us tonight at the virtual. We pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
And now please join us tonight with the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the
150 laps here tonight under the lights. Going to be a long run with drivers having to pace themselves, keep their championship hopes alive. So with the nighttime conditions here, Scott, are we looking at drivers focusing on preserving tires, or is there another mitigating factor that's going to take precedent for these drivers this evening?
Yeah, tires are definitely going to be a big thing. So the racing package that they have here tonight is the highly restricted engine package, so low power, and then they have the really big downforce package on. So a lot of grip for these drivers is going to be out there tonight. Now, what that means is tire conservation. Cars are going to be very tight, particularly on the fixed setups. The cars are going to be very, very tight, a lot of weight being pushed through the front. So what I would recommend to a lot of these drivers is dial that brake bias as far back as you feel comfortable. I was in a truck race here last night, and I ended up running normally the cars here come in with about a 62, 63% brake bias, which means 63% of that pressure of the brakes is going to the front wheels. Last night, I dialed it back to 53.5% in the trucks, and that felt good. It felt like I had a lot of turn, and I was taking a lot of weight off that front tire. Guys are going to be looking to run 16-to-1 steering ratio when and where they can, where they feel comfortable. I know DJ Daniels is comfortable with that, and he'll probably play with his brake bias a fair bit as well. Most of the rest of you are looking at a 14-to-1 steering ratio, so that's a little quirks for how the drivers will probably set their cars up.
You mentioned here when we looked at the qualifying grid, Tom Bourne, Alexander Kerfan, the first two outside of the Final Four are going to be the front row. So they are obviously of the opinion that not only do they have to have fast cars tonight, they've got to maintain that good track position.
Yeah, track position is going to be key tonight, and we've seen that throughout the league as well. You don't want to. It's pretty standard that you don't want to get yourself caught up in anything that's going on in the early phases of this. I mean, obviously, the guys here do have that fast repair, so a little bit different mindset in that. I was talking to a few of the drivers, Tom Bourne in particular, prior to the stream, and as we sort of talked about it, there's been a lot of criticism about having a fast repair available. What a fast repair is, we're all amateur drivers out here, and in actual fact, I don't think there's actually a single driver within this field who races stock cars in real life. I'd love to be proven wrong, by the way. If somebody does know some more information about these drivers than I do, please reach out and let me know. So what that means is you've got a lot of amateur drivers out there, guys that, they want to race quite close to each other, and a lot of experienced sim racers. But then at the back of the pack, you've also got a group of guys that they're out there for the fun of it, and they're not out there trying to race for championship wins. They're just out there trying to turn laps and have a bit of fun and, run with their buddies. And you need to keep those guys in the racing as well. So it's a twofold thing. You allow the front guys to race each other a lot more close and maybe run doors a little bit more, and then still be able to maintain that downforce level, minimal drag by coming in and grabbing that fast repair. But you also allow the whole field to stay in the race as well, and that's a crucial factor. And that's what sim racing is all about. It's a game at the end of the day, as a lot of people don't agree with me.
Oh, here we go, about to write the final chapter before we determine the Final Four for the championship next week. Green flag is in the air. We're underway here at Kentucky. We showed you the top 22 there of the drivers that took time. Gene Cato, Joshua Billiter, Anthony Zirkle were the remainder of the field, and it looks like Wes Fuller is going to join the field from pit lane. So 26 drivers officially starting the race here tonight, and we're already fanning out double wide, almost 3 wide there through 1 and 2, and all the way down to the back straightaway.
Yeah, so this is drivers just searching for clean air. The benefit of Kentucky is, especially 3 and 4, there's a lot of different lines. You kind of want to, it's nearly a road course style line through 3 and 4. You want to turn in really late, carry as much speed, a wider line. It keeps your momentum up. Yeah, it's not the quickest way around the track, but it's the least tire sensitive way around the track. It allows you to keep a bunch of momentum up. Kerfan starting on the outside lane, had to seed way on that inside path. That'll be the quicker line early on, and then you'll see the drivers drift up a little bit further. So you can see Bourne not getting all the way to the bottom on the entry. Caldwell gets to the bottom midway through 3 and 4.
Well, just trying to preserve his spot in the Final Four. Came into this race tied with DJ Daniel for the top spot in the playoff standings. Battle here between teammates. That's Alexander Kerfan in the 99. Of course, that was the car that won the championship last season with Matthew Robinson behind the wheel. Aaron Brown right behind him, the multi-time winner. 4 wins on the season. Right now holding the third of 4 seed, or third of the Final Four, I should say, spots coming into tonight.
Yeah, and it's critical for 2 reasons. First and foremost, Kerfan needs to push himself towards the front. He needs to make sure the guy that he's level with on points is Tom Bourne. So the mentality for him is, first and foremost, I've got to beat Kyle Gartner. Secondly, I also have to beat Tom Bourne, because if I beat Kyle Gartner by enough points, then I'd point my way in, but Tom Bourne beats me, it's over. That's my championship done. At the same time, Aaron Brown wants to make sure that neither of these guys beat him, neither of these guys get enough points to push him out. So Aaron Brown actually needs to be reasonably aggressive and maintain a fair amount of track position as well. Now he's coming under assault from the rear.
Nearly got some contact between himself and TJ Roberts as Roberts pushed up a little through 3 and 4. Roberts will complete the pass to move the 11 up to the 4th position. Brown back to 5th. Chris Woodard took an attempt at 3 wide the last time here into turn 3. He's now back in the 6th position. Trey Whitehead just behind him in the 33. Two drivers right there in Whitehead and Woodard that I guess you could say the reins are off now. They can just go out there and try and pick up for Woodard his 2nd win of the season, for Trey Whitehead his 1st, since they don't really have to worry about the championship, at least for Woodard, especially mathematically ineligible. Trey Whitehead would really need a lot of luck to come his way.
Look, I mean, it's early on, and like you said, 150 laps here tonight as well. You know, Whitehead's got an opportunity as well. He's got to keep himself as alive as he can be. Yeah, look, I mean, he's on the outside, and he's looking in from probably way back up in the nosebleeds, but he's still got that option, and he's still got to push himself up here to the point. And the thing is, for Trey Whitehead, it's boom or bust for him. It is pretty much he has to have a successful night. He wants to race a lot of these guys as aggressively as possible. He needs to rattle some cages. That's probably his best way to get in.
Interesting, too, the top 2, the drivers tied for the points lead, starting in almost complete opposite areas of the field. Cam Caldwell up at the front, qualified 3rd. DJ Daniel, on the other hand, qualified back in the 18th position. He's recently been able to work his way now up to 14th place, but we actually saw a little bit out of DJ Daniel last week as well at Iowa, where he was running mid-pack for a good portion of time. Obviously, I don't think you want to be back here in the midst of all of this chaos, but at the same time, DJ Daniel slowly, methodically making his way up to the front. And I guess the good thing, too, about Kentucky is we saw it even at the initial drop of the green flag. Maybe 2, 3, 4 different lanes being used on that opening lap when they went through 1 and 2. So a lot of options for drivers, and it gets the field pretty spread out.
Yeah, it does. 1 and 2, there's not really... There's probably maybe 2 lanes. 3 and 4, though, there's about 6 or 7 different lines you can take in through about 3 or 4 different lanes. So there's a really early get down there, dive bomb kind of lane, which we saw a lot of at Iowa, guys trying to get the move done in the entry to 3 and 4. That's an option here tonight, particularly if you're nearly there on the move, and you think you can clear the guy on the corner entry and then slide up the track. That's a great opportunity to just make sure that you're completing the pass. Does make you vulnerable in the run back down to 1 and 2. Then you've got a late apex line, and then you've got the halfway between the two, whereby you're still towards the bottom of the track on entry, but you're not really right there on entry, and you're getting to the bottom a little bit of the way through the corner. You've got multiple lanes running a groove and a half up off the bottom of 3 and 4. So a lot of different ways to attack this track here tonight, and that's one of the beauties of Kentucky, is that, honestly, it's a stiff package, a lot of understeer, a lot of tightness in the car, and how you manage that as a driver. This is a great track to really prove that.
TJ Roberts trying to get his momentum back. Remember us documenting the momentum he had coming into the playoffs. He ended up missing a race a couple of weeks ago, 26th last week at Iowa, and battling hard here up inside of the top 5. He got to the outside of Cam Caldwell for 2nd place. Now has to back out of that, and that brings him under fire from Alexander Kerfan. Saw a little bit of connection problem there for the race leader, Tom Bourne. We'll keep an eye on that as things got a little tight there between the 24 of Woodard and the 95 of Aaron Brown off of turn number 4. And keep an eye on that 16, Bronson Stafford, coming into the mix. Remember, he's not running for points. He's not really running for the championship. He's just out there for victories. And in the 6 starts he's made so far this season, 50% of them, he's gone to victory lane.
Yeah, he's been quick. Had a rough week last week at Iowa. I just think the short track there maybe not necessarily have suited him and where he was situated in the pack. He's really good on these sorts of style of track for Bronson Stafford as well. There's a little bit of... I think there was beef at one stage between Aaron Brown and Chris Woodard, but that sort of slowly settled itself out. And, well, Kerfan, aggressive, had the early pace, but he's burned off his tires trying to race those guys early on. He is getting real tight in 1 and 2.
he had Chris Woodard into the back of him off of turn 4, and then we almost had some contact of the 95 Aaron Brown, almost getting hooked on the front straightaway off the nose of the 24. So really close for a couple of moments.
He's getting
there
abandoned.
from final corner all the way over to turn 1, and it's almost looking like Kerfan and Aaron Brown both have kind of taken turns of dropping back a little bit. We'll see if Kerfan's going to be able to march his way back up, as Aaron Brown's been able to do so after he dropped back to around the 5th, 6th position.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's going to be a couple things here for Aaron Brown. The benefit is obviously a long race. He's going to get, I would estimate, I'm looking probably at least one caution, so he will have an opportunity to recover this. The most concerning thing for him right now is he's got to react. The car's getting tight. Okay, I have to underdrive this thing, and I have to do that for about the next 10 laps. I've just got to let these guys go. I can't be involved in any fights. The car may come back to him. Ultimately, though, given how fast he's dropping, I think it's too late. I think he's just gone.
Back to look here, I believe Chris Woodard may have gotten the wall off of turn 4. No, he just ran really wide there. To run there to the back of TJ Roberts, but looked like for a moment there he might have gone just a little too wide. It is now too wide, actually, as you've got Woodard to the outside of TJ Roberts for 4th place. Behind them, teammates battling side by side. Jeffrey Vickery, that 96, trying to take 7th place away from Alexander Kerfan.
Yeah, and this is real bad for Kerfan. He is struggling in a big way, and Whitehead's coming at him. And the thing is, the critical factor is the Gulf is opening up to Tom Bourne. So that's ultimately, even if he still beats Gartner at this point in time, he's not getting in. Like, he's got to beat Bourne and he's got to beat Gartner by a huge margin, right? So this is a big problem. But like I said, 17 laps into this thing. It's not over yet. There's a long way to go, but that says to me that is a very critical factor of the race early on. You can't be that bad 17 laps into a run, or you're just going to get murdered on every run.
Man finished 2nd last week. Ooh, at Iowa. Definite
I saw that
contact
too.
there between oh goodness, Kerfan and Vickery on the front straightaway. And the contact we saw before was between Patrick McQuaid and I believe Trey Whitehead. Now that's DJ Daniel taking them 3 wide up the middle, and he almost slid up into Trey Whitehead. This is getting a little bit nerve-wracking in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether or not that contact that was created was actually between Mike Tellier and Vickery. So, I mean, Tellier and Vickery were running in the same sort of vicinity. I mean, checked up a little bit maybe by Kerfan up ahead of him. But yeah, I mean, this is ultimately DJ Daniel sending a 3 wide there. That's not a guy who's thinking championship oriented at all. I mean, you don't want to be just back your decision making down a little bit, DJ. I mean, you basically locked in. And Auto Club's coming up. Auto Club's a very different, kind of track, kind of layout. So there's not a huge deal of data that you can take here from this one. So, just decision making for me, I don't think is quite there from DJ Daniels.
Got his Rebel Racing teammates in front and behind him. Christopher Lawrence in the 9, right now in 12th, and Kyle Gartner is the green car back there in 15th place. Both of these drivers took part last season in the battle for the championship. Right now, Kyle Gartner coming into this race inside the Final 4 in the 4th seed with Tom Bourne out in front. Not sure where that would position him at this point in time. Christopher Lawrence, on the other hand, came into tonight a total of 16 points behind that final spot. So it's really going to be tough for that 9 machine to try and make it into the championship hunt in back-to-back seasons. So did not have a good performance last week at Iowa, finished multiple laps down.
Yeah, but that was a connection issue, and it's frustrating for Christopher Lawrence, and it's not really much that he can really do about it at this point in time. It's sort of come and waved him by. I mean, if you look at where he went into last week as well, he was inside the 4. He was looking good. He was looking like he had an opportunity. So, tough season. What can you do? Things haven't gone your way.
As of right now, it looks like Tom Bourne would hold the 4th and final spot over Kyle Gartner, as he is 14 positions ahead of him on track and was only 11 points behind him coming this race. Woodard definitely got the wall that time off of turn 2. Aaron Brown made the pass on Cam Caldwell a couple of laps ago, moved him up to 2nd, the 4-time winner, of course, having the momentum of the victory last week at Iowa as well. just trying to make sure he solidifies himself a spot in the Final Four. And it's going to be very difficult, too, if Aaron Brown does, if we count him into the Final Four now, along with Cam Caldwell and DJ Daniel, depend on who that fourth and final driver is, at least with those three, it's going to be very difficult to pick ourselves a favorite when we get to Auto Club next week.
Yeah, and the benefit is, like, throughout the season, we've got a lot of data of actually, like, these guys running side by side. I mean, we've seen some phenomenal battles between Aaron Brown. Oh, yellow.
Matthew Fleming, I believe, has gone around. I think it was on the turn 3 area. Everybody is able to avoid him, though he does have some pretty extensive contact to the right front. Would say to me that he probably got into somebody else. The caution comes out lap 23 of 150 for the first time tonight.
Oh, it's with DJ Daniels too, I think. Yeah, it is. It's with DJ Daniels.
Correct.
That's interesting, because DJ Daniels has fallen off the back end of that pack. They were running side by side, and it looks like Daniels maybe caught a bump?
Boy,
no, he jerked right.
I'll look some more camera angles. I'm gonna hesitate on an opinion on what happened, at least with that camera angle, but I almost wonder if something happened earlier between these two.
I mean, okay, sure, if it happened before, if there's something and there's bad blood in the water between these two, but you're in the championship hunt, DJ, let it go! There's no reason for you to be involved in that. An adjustment to this league as well, coming into tonight, is that they're actually going to be running a penalty system, so he's got to be careful now, because I think the next one is a one-lap penalty, or at least it's a black flag of some sort. I'm not 100% sure where it is at the moment. I have to have a look.
So another look at it there. DJ Daniel almost went up. I couldn't tell. I think he may have come up into Kyle Gartner as well, and I don't know if Gartner brushed the wall with the right side of his machine. We've taken a look at all the camera angles there. Let's take a look inside of the 23's cockpit, see if maybe the direction of the steering wheel might give us a little bit of an idea what was going on there.
It was an odd one. Very, very odd. So this is a lifeline of... this is a lifeline for Alexander Kerfan, which is good.
DJ Daniel did go up and hit the outside wall, as we see there. The whole time down the back straightaway, it looked like he was fighting the wheel.
Yeah, it did a little bit. Look, I mean, but at the same time, like he doesn't need to be there.
Those ones are tough. Those ones are tough because, obviously we don't know what's going through the minds of the drivers, both of them at the time. There may be something that we didn't see earlier. It may just have been a case of, your typical mile-and-a-half racing, that little bit of gray area where one car comes down, one car goes up, not realizing that they're not quite clear on each other. I mean,
Sure.
There's a lot of extenuating circumstances, so just basically you have to just go off of what you see and just go from there.
But critically, remember, Seth, I said that there was a change in the rulings. I've just gone back and I found it. So, first... at-fault penalty, you get yourself an end of line. So DJ Daniels, just for that little bit of contact, is now to the rear of the field. That's not good. The whole field's going to be reset here. So DJ, if anything, in my mind, there's a couple of cars I'm probably looking to try and pick off, but ultimately, I'm looking to reset. I'm looking to make sure that I save as much tire as possible. Additionally, I'm now behind a lot of those cars, right? All of those cars that, if there's going to be a wreck, it's now going to be ahead of me. And we've talked about it multiple times over multiple weeks that cautions, precautions, and the reasons why that is. So he's got a responsibility here to keep himself alive, especially early on. We're 26 laps into a 150 lap race, so he's got to look after the car here. Additionally, he's really got to make sure that he is not at fault in any subsequent cautions, because it will be a 1 lap penalty. And then a third penalty, we got them a DQ.
Saw Derek Sherman in the 53 stayed out to lead a lap. He came to pit road. Everybody else had come down pit road in the lap previous. Tom Bourne first in, first off, will be leading us back to green. TJ Daniel going to be restarting back in the 26th position. Spent time on pit road getting damage repaired, undoubtedly, especially to that right side. Kyle Gartner also spent some time getting his right side repaired. Matthew Fleming getting that right front fixed up, and also we had a rather extended stay for Patrick McQuaid, which I'm going to assume might have been trying to repair a little bit of the right side after he and Trey Whitehead had some contact with each other coming off of turn 4 during that green flag run. So a couple drivers down there a little bit longer in their pit stalls getting some TLC to their machines. But Tom Bourne going to be the leader, Cam Caldwell in second, Aaron Brown lines up third, Chris Woodard fourth. Fifth place is going to be Bronson Stafford, 6th TJ Roberts, Alexander Kerfan, Mike Tellier, Trey Whitehead, and Jeffrey Vickery. That is going to be your top 10. We have all 26 cars still running, all still on the lead lap, working only our first caution of the night. So we are now more than 25 laps into this 150 lap event. Pace car is about ready to turn them loose and set them ready for hopefully another long green flag run.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good run, too, and we got to shake things out, got to really see a few things, so Woodard's back up here at the point now. A good opportunity for him if he can look after some tyres. Did fade towards the back end of that stint. Aaron Brown was making progress. Great pit stop once again by Cam Caldwell to keep himself at the point. You know, a lot of stories going on up and down the field, but Tom Bourne continues to control this race, Seth.
Yeah, Tom Bourne looking for his first win on the season. He's been close quite a number of times. Handful of fourth place finishes, had back-to-back third place finishes in the early portion of the season, but he has not been able to find victory lane. Tonight could be the night, and it could be a championship winning victory if he's able to close the deal out. Still a long ways to go though, and contact there, 3 wide for second. Brown, Caldwell, and Woodard up on the top side.
Yeah, this is a really aggressive move by Aaron Brown to send it all the way down there. Now, Woodard's going to lose pace on entry here. He actually managed to clear both of them, so he can come down the track.
Oh! A save by both Aaron Brown and Cam Caldwell. Those two cars probably should have been wrecked.
Remember what I said back at the start of things, Seth, about having that fast repair in the bank? It allows these guys to race each other a lot closer. Well, look, that's it. Both of those are drivers. Again, one of them made a mistake. Probably both of them made a fractionally mistake. They're still in the race. If there was any major damage, still have that fast repair. That's why I like it.
Mike Tellier was able to take advantage of that. He's now up to the 5th position. Kerfan to his left rear quarter panel for the position. Trey Whitehead back there as well. Vickery side by side with Christopher Lawrence. That's going to be for the 8th spot. As we got a car falling to the back, I believe that is purposeful though. David Modespa, I think, dropped to the apron on the back straightaway to let some faster cars by. And the battle for the lead is on. Chris Woodard, high, wide, and handsome, trying to take the top spot away from Tom Bourne.
Yeah, he's going to have the momentum here in 1 and 2, but ultimately Tom Bourne's all the way down the bottom. Bourne's breathing the throttle. He's trying to conserve that front wide. Woodard is not conserving whatsoever. There's beef between these two guys. Remember them going for the battle for the lead back in Atlanta? Woodard got a win out of that one. Tom Bourne walked away sad, sorry, and I think not even on the podium.
Woodard now with the pressure off of not having to worry about the fact of racing his way into the championship. 4 very aggressive here in the early going to the lead, and now Cam Caldwell is going to pull up to the back bumper of the 54 of Tom Bourne. So all of a sudden, start to see a little chink in the armor of that Toyota Camry, and I'm wondering if it might be dirty air, because now as soon as he's fallen back into the draft of Chris Woodard, Cam Caldwell, Bronson Stafford, Alexander Kerfan, they're all lining up there.
Yeah, so the critical factor here for Cam is if he can get some draft support from Woodard down the main straight. So he's always going to, the high line's going to maintain that momentum, and Bourne's going to send it to the inside once again. He's getting spicy.
Certainly showed his nose, and that got really close. Now as he's pinned down, Caldwell going to come around the outside, gets the nice draft off the right rear quarter panel, and will slingshot to second place. Yeah, he thinks he's going to have a run to the inside of Woodard there, going to 3 and 4. Instead, going to have to tuck in line in second place.
No, I'm actually more impressed with the decision making by Tom Bourne there. He's just looking at the race, he's looking at the scenario, and he says, look, I'm on probably the non-preferred line. I'm going to let this one go before the entry so I can take a more conservative entry and really look after that right front tire. So he didn't opt to fight that battle with Cam Caldwell again. What he'll do is he'll attach himself to Caldwell here, and if Caldwell opens the door, he'll shove Caldwell through it. He doesn't want to fight. we both know, we've seen it on just about every run, Woodard burns up his tires. Atlanta was the only race on the season where Woodard was good on the long runs. That's where he was really able to conserve. It was because he got to the point. Can he use the fresh air here to maintain race control?
His last couple of finishes have not been good. 22nd 2 weeks ago, 14th last week at Iowa. Trying to find his way back into the winners column, and I noticed another driver that has made an appearance up inside the top 10. How about Zachary Woods, the 60 car, now up in the 9th position, just got around Jeffrey Vickery for that spot a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, the miracle man, Zachary Woods, loves himself a miracle, loves himself a milkshake too, if I've been told anything about that. So look, I mean, yeah, look, there's opportunities. That's what it's all about. The reset of the field here, everyone got a feel. It's been a long time since there's been any racing at Kentucky, so these drivers don't have a lot to fall back on. Over a year ago was the last time an official race was here, so they're only using league races. So this first run was effectively what a competition caution would have been in real life. It's that first run on the track. Make sure you feel out the cars, come back down for a fresh set, say, hey, I was pushing the car too hard, was burning up that right front, I need to adjust my driving style, I found some good lines late in the run, let's reset, let's go again, and these guys can race it out.
Those wondering about DJ Daniel after the EOL penalty bringing out the first caution of the evening, started back in the 26th position on the last restart, picked up 6 spots to 20th place, but still a long road to toe here for the driver of the 23 is Woodard. My goodness, I think he runs maybe the highest off of turn 4 of anybody, almost shakes hands with that green outside retaining wall.
He is really wanting to get back to that gas aggressive down on 3 and 4. That's what's pushing the car high. The bad part for Woodard here is that puts a lot of load on that right front. You got to be really careful you don't over input on the steering wheel.
Tom Bourne may have lost the lead, but he at this point has not lost the 4th position in the point standings, because even running in 2nd place, he is a total of now 18 positions ahead of Kyle Gartner, and he's not going to be satisfied for 2nd. He's going to go to the inside of Chris Woodard, try and take that top position back. Woodard going to pinch him down through the center of 1 and 2. Let's see if he gets the run off the 2nd corner down the back straight. He's got the draft from Ken Caldwell on the top side.
Struggling. Yeah, like I said, he's burning up that right front. Now he'll pinch and come down the track.
Whoa! Definite contact there. Both the
3 wide, 4 wide!
4 wide. Bronson Stafford says thank you very much. He's got a head of steam. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead. 3 wide possibly for 2nd going into turn 1. Oh, they're all going to make it through, I think. Oh, we might have some more contact for the lead.
Contact for the lead. How about contact in this 2nd row? Look at Stafford. Look at Caldwell. Tellier's getting himself in the mix, Seth.
Caldwell might want to back out of this situation. He's trying to preserve himself a spot in the Final Four. Tellier and Bronson Stafford, they're just out here trophy hunting. And look how this has brought so many other players into the mix. Here's Lawrence. Here's Trey Whitehead. Kerfan's back in the mix. Woods is there. Vickery is there. Throw a blanket now over the top 10. They're all separated by less than half a second.
And you know what? This is one of the first times this season I think we've seen Mike Tellier up at the point and with pace in that car. He's looking good tonight, Seth.
Definitely is. Outside of Tom Bourne for 2nd place in that number 47 Chevrolet Camaro. We'll see if he can clear off of 4. He can indeed. Tom Bourne still shows his nose down there. Not going to be able to make a move down here into turns 1 and 2. Lawrence and Stafford continue their side-by-side battle for the 5th position. Oh, Stafford pushes up the track. Lawrence tried to pin him down to get to the right rear quarter panel, and they almost made some contact.
A lot of tire burned up in these last few laps. A lot of momentum lost, and all of a sudden, Chris Woodard was looking weak. Now he looks strong. A lot of these guys racing multiple laps side by side. Bronson Stafford, in particular, was in a lot of those 3 wide situations. Cam Caldwell as well. Look at these guys get shuffled back, shuffled back, shuffled back. They had to burn up a lot of tire to try and grab some track position. Now they're going to suffer for that.
I'll tell you one driver we're on board with that was not up there in all of that crazy race, and that's Aaron Brown. He was maybe being able to save a little bit there while everybody was using up their tires. And let's see if he's going to be able to bypass a couple of these guys that moments ago were in some 3 wide situations.
Yeah, so Aaron Brown had some nice pace early on, was looking very good early on. And remember, like I said, we had that competition caution, effectively a race-style conditions practice session. for all intents and purposes. Aaron Brown come into this race looking really strong, didn't make much of an adjustment, wasn't able to make much of an improvement in that first run. Now he falls by the wayside. You've got to keep improving throughout this race, Seth. You can't afford to just sit there and go, I'm happy with my pace.
Appert took a look on Christopher Lawrence for 5th place, not able to make the move. Left the top side open. Trey Whitehead with the momentum, going to get alongside of him, so that will instead be the battle for 6th. Herfan and Brown, they're side by side for 8th position behind them, so 2 rows of double wide in the latter half of the top 10.
Yeah, it's spicy. It's been spicy for a number of laps. Now things are starting to settle down. Now the tires have settled down, so it's varying back more and more into that sort of a one groove style of racing. Actually, just taking a look through the field, guys are the quickest right now. Tom Bourne and on the last pass around Aaron Brown, both of those guys were very, very quick. All of a sudden, Aaron Brown has to make a move, loses a little bit of momentum. So I think you were right. I think Aaron Brown's actually was looking after those tires. Now a lot of those tires around him have burned off. Look at how he cuts his way through the field in this next 10.
Up to the 8th position right now is the driver of the 95. Might have a battle brewing here for 3rd place. Cam Caldwell's been a tick quicker than Mike Tellier the last couple laps, and Tellier got the wall, so that's definitely going to lose the momentum. I think Woodard may have gotten the wall too, because look how slow he is in the front straightaway. Tom Bourne blows on by.
Yeah, I need to have a look at that. That's something's happened for sure there. Yeah, definitely. Woodard definitely got the fence. He was way up the track, then he was at the bottom of the track, so he got the fence. He's getting really, really tight. This has been his weakest facet of the season. And it really, for me, it's kind of like a two-turn driver. Like I said, the driver in Atlanta that he was so good at Atlanta. And Atlanta's a heavy tire wear track. And all of a sudden, through the back half of the season, he's not been able to repeat that. I'm curious to see whether or not Tellier got the wall, though. I don't think he necessarily did, Seth. No, he did. He did. Just fractionally.
Maybe the sparks I saw might have been the leftover sparks from Woodard.
No, so Woodard got a heavy shot to the wall. Tellier just very lightly brushed it. So Tellier got out of the throttle enough to prevent heavy contact with the barrier. So he's actually not too bad.
Woodard starting to free fall. Back to the 6th position now.
Have a look at Aaron Brown.
Aaron Brown going to cross to the inside. Tried to make it 3 wide with Bronson Stafford. Not able to get alongside the 16. So instead, he'll set his sights on the 24 for the 6th position.
Just taking a look through the field as well. I'm not 100% sure where DJ Daniels is leveled out either, so I'm just trying to keep an eye out for him.
Still mired back in the 20th position. It looks like he still got that right side damage from when he got up into the outside wall. Seen a little bit of damage there around the right front wheel well, and he's also got some damage on the back end of that car, so whatever type of a hit he took into the outside safer barrier there through 3 and 4 has obviously really affected his speed. You got Kyle Gartner back here as well, who also got up into the wall at the same time. You see the damage on the front end of his Chevrolet.
Matt Rodriguez is very, very slow, losing a lot of time here. I think he's just lost 3 or 4 spots in the space of the last lap. Somebody just said in the wall, so I'm wondering. Yeah, it was Rodriguez. There was a car sideways on the front stretch. It was Woodard because it was
Cam Caldwell. Did he get the wall? Because he's dropping on the telemetry quick.
There's a lot going on right now, Seth. There's a lot up and down the track. Drivers getting really, really tight in how they're managing the cars. And have a look at Patrick McQuaid.
Zach Woods. Contact with TJ Roberts, and the caution is out. I don't know what for. Nobody's gone around.
Just for the wreck.
The yellow flag is out.
It was. It was an admin throwing caution for the wreck there.
There was no wreck.
Wow. Yeah. Debatable.
Now we'll go back and look at what I guess was classified as a wreck, but 60 never spun, so I'm a little bit confused by that. Nonetheless. TJ Roberts and Zach Woods that got together. Woods gonna rush the inside wall just a tad there.
So both cars, when the caution was flown, the 2 cars that were involved in it was the 99 and the 11, but they were both back straight again. So not necessarily a caution, but look, I mean, there was a lot of drivers starting to make mistakes there. So this says to me, we've got a great race on our hands. And again, that track position's been critical. We need to, if anything, not review what caused the caution here. I think we need to start having a look. Like you said, Cam Caldwell, I think he got the barrier. I think you're right. Because he dropped like an absolute rock. And then that triggered like all of this shuffling.
And I think the thing to kind of take away from all this as well is just how DJ Daniel, after he got up into the wall with, it didn't look like it was that hard of a hit, but mired back in 20th and made no further progress during that run. It just shows that even what looks like could be some minute contact with these drivers off of turn 4, it's actually really affecting them. I don't know if just in terms of speed or in terms of handling. Oh, I believe actually it was the Caldwell incident that might have brought out the yellow flag here. Well, yeah, because, oh, there you go. That's what brought the caution out. The admin thrown caution was for Caldwell. That car was about 45 degrees spun in the wrong direction. So I think the contact afterwards between Woods and Roberts was just an aftermath thing, but that's not what the yellow flag was thrown for.
But the car was saved? And I mean, the thing is, I mean, for TJ Roberts, as soon as he gets the car ahead of him loose, just bail out of the throttle a little bit, let him save it, and then dive to his inside.
Damage there, even with the onboard on Cam Caldwell. Pit road was open. Looks like most drivers came down. I believe Mike Tellier is going to be the one who will be leading us back to the green flag.
Did Tellier stay out? No, he came down.
No, he came down.
Same pit stop duration. Man, that is, I don't think the Iracing Pace Car was actually registered as a car competing in this field tonight, so that's a really interesting 47 liveried car that Telly is driving there.
It is. It's a unique combination of vehicles, for sure.
Do you think that NASCAR is running the low downforce package as well, or the high downforce package?
Certain, but what I can tell you is if Mike Tellier wins this race, he will not pass post-race inspection with a light bar on top of his car.
Or functioning
That's just
headlights.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the benefit is, I mean, he'll be underpowered. I mean, that thing has not got the same level of power a NASCAR's got. So, look, I mean, his engine's gonna pass, but yeah, we'll have to see.
Pace car wins this race, nobody's showing up to Auto Club next week.
Pace car for the championship win?
Yeah.
Imagine if it was a winning in.
Oh, man. My money's on the pace car. I think
Yeah,
at least
for
the pace
sure.
car would the pace car has the statistical probability of maybe leading the most laps.
That's what I was going to say. Bonus points to the pace car here.
There you go. Absolutely. Mike Tellier going to be leading us back to green. Lights out atop the pace car. He'll choose the top side, it appears here.
I think that's the right call.
Ending up in second. There's going to be Trey Whitehead, Bronson Stafford fourth, Jeffrey Vickery in fifth, Tom Bourne, Aaron Brown, Patrick McQuaid, Noah Owens, and Alexander Kerfan are going to complete the top 10. I believe Joshua Billiter had some connection problems. He's the only car one lap down right now in the 26th position. We'll update if he gets back into the server. Right now, 25 drivers on the lead lap, working only our second caution of the night. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you in part by Mobility Appraisal Services. Mobility Appraisal Services provides individually tailored full claim service and multi-line third-party administrator service programs for each of our clients. Take the time to fully understand our customers' respective industries, challenges, and goals. Develop programs that produce the quality results they desire. Check them out at mobilityappraisal.com. So we're running a trend here, Scott. It looks like we get into about a 25-lap run, and then the caution flag waves. So do we continue to see that here with the long green flag stints? Or is there a point that you're marking here where we're going to be starting to see the caution flags pile up with the late race restarts?
Well, it's been pretty good so far, Seth, and the guys are looking after each other. Probably one of the best so far this season. Ultimately, what I think everyone has learned is that it's about looking after your tires, and that's so critical here. And have a look at these guys here from the Sky Motorsports. All three of them to the top side, and they just abandoned Lawrence on the bottom.
Bourne on the top side of the 9 now. That's for third place. Bronson Stafford moves down to kind of block Christopher Lawrence from getting a solid entry into turn 3. Lawrence pushes up the track, trying to get to that outside line. Almost cuts off the nose of Trey Whitehead, and now it's going to be teammates side by side for second. Stafford's going to lose the spot. Tom Bourne moves to the runner-up position. Mike Tellier watching it all go on in his rearview mirror.
Yeah, Tellier's just enjoying it. He's just keeping an eye out through the rearview mirror like, yeah, you guys keep fighting back there. I'm up here. I'm saving tires. These things are coming up to temperature. I'm not cooking these bad boys.
Joshua Billiter has returned to the racing surface 2 laps down in the 26th position. So all 26 cars are still running. Kyle Gartner and DJ Daniel both came down pit road. Both of them did a little bit more repair. They restarted back in 13th and 14th. And Christopher Woodard in the 24, as well as Aaron Brown in the 95. Those are 2 drivers that are already a fast repair in the hole at this point in time.
That's odd for Aaron Brown, particularly for his race this evening. You got to remember that I was just taking another look at that cut line. He's not a whole deal ahead of that cut line. He's only 7 points ahead of the cut line. So ultimately, whilst Kyle Gartner's a long way back, if you take Tom Bourne's points line here tonight, he's, what, 18 points to get back up there? Kerfan only needs to beat Aaron Brown by 18 points, and Brown's not making it in, boys.
Yeah, Caldwell. We saw him get into the wall and have the near spin on the front straightaway. He did not take a fast repair on, but spent almost a minute and a half on pit lane. He's currently back in the 17th position at this point in time, as we saw near contact on board with Christopher Woodard. Almost got into the right rear quarter panel of Vickery, who's going to chop off the nose of DJ Daniel down the front straightaway. Noah Owens, Matthew Fleming, they're all in this mix. This is a big wad of race cars just inside the top 10.
And this is critical as well, because remember, keep thinking about it. I said, DJ Daniels, he doesn't need to get involved in these scraps. He just needs to have a reasonable night. It doesn't need to be a great night. It needs to be a below average night, and he'll make it in. That's what his goal's got to be. Ultimately, he's struggling with that car. He hasn't got the pace. Make some good decisions here. Put yourself in a good spot. We're going to start losing cars over the next 30, 40 laps. Look after those tires, buddy. Don't be too worried about the racing pack right now.
Bourne's gone back to the lead, getting around Mike Tellier, so back to where he started this race. Tellier falls back to second. 3-way battle for the third spot. Christopher Lawrence, Aaron Brown, Bronson Stafford. Here comes Patrick McQuaid into the mix in the 77, hoping for a last-ditch miracle here to be able to keep his hopes alive for the championship.
Look, I mean, it's a long shot, but you've got to give yourself every single opportunity. At the end of the season, if you're not there and you're there or thereabouts and you left something on the table, that's when you're going to be frustrated. That's when you're going to be annoyed with yourself. Keep out there, keep punching, just see what opens up.
Guy that really loves, he told us, really loves Kentucky coming into tonight. Matthew Rodriguez has been able to fight his way up to the 8th position. And yes, there was sarcasm. He does not like this.
No. I was going to keep going with the joke, and I wanted to listen it back. Yeah, Matthew Rodriguez. No, he said he loves this place. He really, really loves the small engine package with a lot of downforce. He said it gives him a lot of grip in the car. It really enables him to make sure that he's pushing himself a long way forward. He's a great driver. He's got great talents, and this is the package that best suits his talents.
Not sure how you're saying that with a straight face. I wasn't able to.
Mainly because I'm enjoying the face that he'll make when he watches this back. That's.
There you go. There you go. Still makes me smile when I think of the face, though. Oh, car was way up the track there through 3 and 4. I'm going to hazard a guess it was Chris Woodard, because he has been committed to that top side, it seems. Gets really tremendous runs off the corner onto the straightaways, but as we've seen, pays the price with brushing the wall, the right side of his machine. Bronson Stafford backing out of this situation, losing a couple spots to Christopher Lawrence and Patrick McQuaid. Don't know if this is a case of him dropping back to save his tires, or if he may have burned up a little bit here in the early going.
Well, for sure. I mean, he did get aggressive, and then he sort of backed out. Basically, you got to remember at the start of this most recent restart, he kind of just backed himself off, held Lawrence back to make sure that Tom Bourne could get back to the point, and they were sort of trying to control the race from Tom Bourne's perspective. And then I'm pretty sure he just went, you know what, this isn't what I'm after. And this has pretty much been his night. If you look at the way that he's driven the track and the positions he's put himself in, he surged, he looks for a couple spots early, but he's trying to not burn up as much tire whilst racing those guys. Then he settles in, he gets himself into a groove, and he's just patience. Oh, a guy got loose? No worries, I'm there, I'll put my car in that spot.
Brown, Mike Tellier, a couple of Camaros going to go side by side for second place. Brown tried to go up there and stop the run of the 47. Christopher Lawrence drove it deep, took Brown by surprise. Oh, I don't think Brown was happy about that. That's going to put Tellier up into the wall.
There was something in that.
Yeah, I don't think that Brown was all that thrilled with the move that Lawrence made, and Mike Tellier, the innocent bystander of all that, is going to get the short end of the stick.
That was aggressive late dive from Christopher Lawrence. I'm just watching it back now, Seth. Makes a move deep, late, and then Aaron Brown recognizes he's there and comes up the track. There's enough room. There's heaps of space for 3 cars to make it in, but he doesn't recognize that Telly is still there, and then he tries to come back down the track. Lawrence has to check up because Lawrence, remember I was talking about that real deep dive slide up the track style line? That's the exact line that Lawrence took. It shuffled Aaron Brown back up the track. Aaron Brown shuffles further up the track, catches Tellier again, puts Tellier in the fence. So it's actually on Lawrence that's called that checkup.
How difficult is it if you're Aaron Brown to keep the emotions in check? Because you can see the move he made there to the right rear quarter pill of the 9 was pretty much saying I wasn't all that thrilled about that. Oh, that's a great point too. Yeah, I mean, you got to keep your head in the game. You got a big picture race here. He's a 4-time winner. He's got the most wins on the season. The last thing he wants to do is let his emotions get the better of him and take him out of a chance of battling for the championship next week.
Yeah, if he just keeps himself in contention here, if he walks in with a 4th spot on the entry to the playoffs, I get the feeling he'll still lead the playoffs next week, which means he's basically got to say to everyone else, you have to beat me by a country mile at Auto Club or else I win this championship. He can't just sort of let this go. He's got to be there, and he's got to keep himself alive in this championship. He cannot afford moments like that. There's just no reason for him to be involved in that before the halfway mark.
Drop back to the 6th position. Now trying to get by Chris Woodard in the 24. Ooh, gonna bump the 24 down the back straightaway. Now the 24 is a teammate to the 9, so I don't know what's going on here with the two teams of JKR and Rebel, but there could be some battle eyes being drawn here tonight or something. They're going to go 3 wide possibly here on the front straightaway, and all this going on has allowed the top 3-4 to be able to pull away.
I mean, and this is exactly what the Sky Motorsports guys, they really want to do. Because if you have a look at where they are, they've got Stafford up here, and then they've got Tom Bourne that's controlling and leading the race. And to be perfectly honest with you, Stafford is just crawling all over Chris Lawrence. I don't think that this has anything to do with this. And have a look once again, Patrick McQuaid. There are 2 people in this field for me that have really quiet yet successful races. Patrick McQuaid is one of them. Kyle Gartner tends to be the other one. Kyle Gartner currently on the inside of playoff 4, and probably going to fall outside of that tonight. Just he hasn't been quite to the point. The race hasn't been as chaotic as he necessarily needs. So McQuaid is in a phenomenal spot, and McQuaid's been driving good. He's here on pace, and he's here because a little bit of luck has played his way as well. So things are going in his direction.
Let's remember here with Kyle Gartner, he had 11 points between himself, Tom Bourne, and Alexander Kerfan. Those 2 drivers. And so if he can at least finish up inside of the top 10, the 8th or 9th position, I think even if Bourne or Kerfan go to victory lane, I don't remember how many bonus points exactly the race winner gets, but I think he still might be able to point his way in. He's only a couple spots away from that target area in the 12th position. And remember too, he's still dealing with that damage he got all the way back on lap 23. So he still has a faster pair he could put on in the closing stage of this race and be able to pick up some more spots before this race comes to a close.
For sure, and it's just patience. And to be perfectly honest with you, Seth, I'm starting to have a look around the field, and I'm thinking green flag stops, actually. I'm thinking probably in about 10 or 15 laps time, we're going to see some green flag stops. Now, remember, these guys have 6 sets of tires, so if they're coming down the pits, they're coming down for fuel, they're probably going to be taking tires here as well. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
Made 2 pit stops so far here this evening, both under caution, and the majority of the field has taken on 4 tires, so they would have now sets available left to them, and we're going to be getting this possible green flag pit stop past the halfway point, so they should have enough sets of tires to be able to make it the rest of the way, and maybe even have a set left over for,
for sure.
potential overtime, as
Carl,
really close
long
there
way up
for-
the track. I was
That
Carl long way up the
was-
track in 1 and 2. I'm trying to pick out, yeah, I think it was Woodard, because Woodard just dropped a bunch of spots, so.
Not
Would not-
surprised. I mean,
Yeah,
he
it's Woodard.
he's kind of been the one guy that runs way up the racetrack, whether he wants to or
That's
not,
too
it
far.
seems here tonight.
But there's
We're
no
gonna go
pace.
3 wide for third. Matthew Rodriguez has reeled in the side-by-side battle between Patrick McQuaid and Christopher Lawrence. And what I'm seeing here, especially tonight, is I think going to be an example of what we're going to be seeing next week at Auto Club as well. We're seeing a lot of pack racing. We're seeing where a lot of drivers, when they race side by side, they're stalling each other out. It's wadding everybody else behind them. It's going to be very typical to what we're going to see next week with a championship on the line.
Yeah, and I mean, we've raced so far at Michigan this season too, and that made for an absolute phenomenal race. You're gonna see exactly the same sort of stuff that went on at Michigan. Pack racing. Oh, there's a big shot in 1 and 2.
And that is, I believe, DJ Daniel in the 23. Another car ahead of him that is slow. That's Mike Sibanowski, the third. Oh, David Modespa. The 1, or no, I'm sorry, that's Gene Cato, rather, the 2 car. A lot of front end damage on his Toyota.
You know what? I'm getting this sinking feeling that DJ Daniels is going to be getting credit for causing this caution, causing this wreck. And if he does, that's a 1-lap penalty. It's hit a lot of cars too. Cam Caldwell's involved in that. Wes Fuller, the 96 of Vickery, and Daniels obviously kicked it off. So TJ Roberts, I'm not sure if he managed to dodge it. Derek Sherman, there's a lot of cars in this one, Seth. A lot of torn up race cars.
Front end of Vickery is gone. Smoke billowing out from underneath. 35 of Fuller. Let's go back and see what happened. See if we can figure out where this started.
It's DJ Daniels and
Guessing
Jeffrey
maybe
Vickery.
That's what I thought. Those two
Yeah.
were in very close proximity to each other.
And this is just, to be perfectly honest, I know DJ Daniels is just one of the younger heads in the league, and to be perfectly honest with you, there's a lot of learning, a lot of experience that he doesn't necessarily have here that is available. He's got to consistently keep learning from these instances, but perfectly honest, he just needs to make sure that he's not involved in this sort of stuff. This is not a guy that's running at the front end of the championship effectively. This is racing from a guy who I would be expecting to be trying to force his way into the championship for. It's just decision making. I don't know. Look, there's a case there that says Vickery's at fault. There's a case there that says DJ Daniels is at fault. But look at the speed that Caldwell arrived at that scene with.
Yeah, I was going to mention, I mean, he just flew into that. We're going to go on board with the guy that had a heck of a save through that. That was Trey Whitehead in the 33. The car just behind him, G. Cato, not so lucky. But that's one of the tough things about a track here like Kentucky is the drivers want to swing out to that outside wall, have that wide entry to drive it deep going into turn 1. And while it looks like Vickery tried to do just that, it also looked like DJ Daniel came down to maybe try and cross over the 96 going into turn 1. Neither one was clear on the other. It's just one of the tough gray areas that take place in mile-and-a-half racing.
Who was that he just went on board with? It just had the clean run through everything. That was phenomenal.
That was 33 Trey Whitehead.
That's really good heads up
Barely got through that.
Yeah, he used his brakes. He saw the caution come out. He used his brakes. He's picking options through it. He got back to the gas when he needed to, and he idled through it. If he didn't have to be on the brakes, he didn't have to be on the gas. He wasn't on either, and he was just looking through options. Really, really good heads-up driving, keeping his eyes up the track, looking for the openings through the wreck. Did everything right there.
We will be going back.
Steve, it's a racing incident.
Laps to go.
It's a racing incident. There's no penalty being applied. DJ Daniels, I think, is getting away with one there. I'm going to be honest.
That's huge, though, for DJ Daniel, and the fact that he's not going to, as you mentioned, suffer the 1-lap penalty. He's already At contact, had to take on a faster pair. Cam Caldwell as well. I mean, who would have thought that coming into tonight's race at Kentucky, halfway through this race, the two drivers that came into this as basically our solid lock-ins, Caldwell and DJ Daniel, the co-points leaders, would be a faster pair in the hole.
I didn't, Seth. I mean, that wasn't on my book for things that I expected to happen here at Kentucky. I expected some great racing here tonight. We've definitely had that. I think the racing that's gone on has been a little bit short-sighted from a couple of people. And most of the field are actually really using their heads. They're trying to keep themselves in the game. You know, they're trying to keep themselves alive for the back end of the race. That's what they need to do, and that's what they are doing. But there's just those few guys that just need to switch their heads on, switch their brains on. Yeah, we had Daniels, we had Caldwell at soft locks at this point in time, right? But they still need to finish the race. They still need to have a reasonable points night. And the driving that I've seen from DJ Daniels has not exhibited that. Cam Caldwell's been taking... He's been thereabouts, but he's still taking fractionally too much risk for my liking. But he's close.
Those that are keeping a list of the drivers we've named off that have used faster pairs, add 5 more to that list. Trey Whitehead in the 33 taking on a faster pair, Mike Sibanovsky in the 34, Gene Cato, Wes Fuller, and Jeffrey Vickery, who were all involved in that incident, also a faster pair in the hole. It's going to be teammates lining up on the front row for this restart. Bronson Stafford, Tom Bourne, the front row. Patrick McQuaid, Matthew Fleming, who brought out the first caution, they're going to line up in row 2. Teammates, Christopher Lawrence and Chris Woodard in row 3. Kerfan and Brown, teammates there in row 4. And then Trey Whitehead and Anthony Zirkle, who's been very quiet here tonight and was starting to creep into the top 10 just before that yellow flag came out. He's going to complete the top 10 here for our third restart of the night at Kentucky.
Yeah, I think this is the one where the guys start to turn it up a little bit, Seth, if I'm being honest. Because now we're into that second half of the race. We just crossed over, and guess what? You need to put that crystal ball away. How many laps did we do on that run?
We did about 27, I believe. 27, 28
26,
that time.
26 run, yeah. Can you put that ball away? You're scaring me.
So we got 2 more, we got, two more projected cautions coming out here in the next, for the next 2 25 flag segments. Oh, man, we'll see what happens here. Obviously, we've seen it all season long. When the laps start to tick closer to that checkered flag, the aggressiveness kicks up. And you mentioned it, too. We've seen a lot of space, a lot of give and take here tonight, which has given us these long green flag runs. But that courtesy is going to be starting to get less and less as we draw closer to the end of this race as well.
Well, particularly if your name is Christopher Woodard, because remember, we talked about him, right? He's only got this short run pace. Well, he's now not at the front of the pack, so he has to grab spots here in our car in the infield.
It's a Derek Sherman, I believe, in the 53.
Yeah, I think
Keeps
you're right.
It going, keeps it straight. Urges it back up into turn 1. We are fine for the moment. Single file all the way back to around the position. That's where you find Aaron Brown. He was trying to make a move on Chris Woodard. Tucks back in line. But we've seen it here tonight already. Things get strung out, and that's just in maybe a couple of laps. It just gets wadded back up again with side-by-side racing all the way through the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's an epic race, to be perfectly honest with you, Seth. Things look fantastic. Like, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself here tonight. The racing is so good when it's green flag running. It's about looking after those tires. We've learned that so far. Who's been doing that the best? Tom Bourne, for sure. Bronson Stafford now gets some clean air to his nose. Well, relatively clean air. It's not perfect air, but it's relatively clean air. And he's got a teammate in front of him. He says, hey, I just need some clean air. I need some drafting support. He's going to get that from the guy that's up ahead of him. Christopher Lawrence actually has done a really good job. And I'm continue to be impressed by the run that Patrick McQuaid has had. This is the most time he's spent inside the top 5 all season long, and what a time to come alive within the season.
Yeah, Patrick McQuaid, sponsored by Muffler Man, one of the sponsors of tonight's race. Muffler Man, a mechanic shop that has served customers from all over the country for more than 20 years. Muffler Man, located on 219 Columbus Road in Athens, Ohio, that performs all sorts of services for various vehicles, including exhaust maintenance, custom bending, shocks, struts, brake maintenance, oil changes, tire services, and more. You can call Muffler Man at 740-592-3593 to get your vehicle serviced today. And I know Patrick McQuaid would love nothing better than to get that sponsor, the partial sponsor of the race, in victory lane here tonight. I don't necessarily know with where some of the other guys are positioned in the field if it would get him into the Final Four, but, you know, even if you don't make it in the championship picture, a win's got to at least be some consolation for him.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to him on and off the last couple of weeks just after the races, and he's been talking about his decision making, how he's driving the car, just being a little bit more patient, and he's certainly done that. And the skills that I've seen from him over the coming weeks, his pace has come up, and the decisions that he's making about where to prep his car and how to turn it into the corner and when to be a little bit more aggressive and what moves to go for. All of his decision making, this league has been a really, really good thing for Patrick McQuaid. He's improved out of sight as a driver.
There's Cam Caldwell, DJ Daniel, the co-points leaders, both taking on a faster pair under that last yellow. Right now they are in the 10th and 11th positions respectively. Woodard just ahead of them, Rodriguez just behind them. Looks like they found themselves a little bit of a safety spot right now in the field. That's kind of forced their hands to have to do this. They can't be as aggressive as they wanted to in the early stages because they know there's still a long ways to go in this race, over 60 laps, and they don't have that lifeline anymore.
No, they don't. Have a look behind them, though. There was three wide back there. It's Kyle Gartner as well. Gartner's got to start to get a little bit of a mosey on. He can't hang around anymore. 14th, what is he, 16th at this point in time? That's not going to be good enough for him. He's going to lose his spot in the 4. So he's got to find something, and he's got to start finding something now, because if he waits much longer, time's going to run out.
Now, I'll put a little asterisk by the speed he's got in that car, at least for the moment, because he still has not taken on his faster pair. He's still dealing with the front-end damage that he got when he ran to the back of DJ Daniel under the first caution of the evening. So, with a car like this holding down the 16th position, if he's got that car back to pristine, he could be up inside of the top 10. But the question is, when does he decide to take on, and what happens between now and then?
Well, you're right. I didn't spot that damage. I just because of the livery, I wasn't really able to get the eyes down there and really check it out. So, no, you're 100% right, Seth. I mean, that's actually a really, really good drive from him. I'm thoroughly impressed. Qualifying pace, he wasn't quite there, but to keep the car in the position that he's kept it in, that's actually a really, really good job. And he's got it's still a long night ahead of him. Remember, another 60 laps here before we crown our champion and we decide our playoff 4. But look, it's going to be tight for him. He's got to do something. Because right now, if let's say he grabs another 5 spots, I think he's still losing to Tom Bourne. Tom Bourne would still be in for my mind.
And I'm trying to remember, I can't pull in the name of the driver who was in the 4th seed last season in the penultimate race setting up for the championship 4. But I thought that the top 4 were already pretty much locked in. Kyle Gartner was the first one out, and he was able, in that next to last race of the season, was able to point his way into the Final Four. So if history, shows anything, you can't count that 49 car out just yet, because he's obviously proven in the past he can rise to the occasion in the closing stage of the race and get himself up into that championship picture.
I'll just do some digging, sir, so leave that one with me. I'll go figure out who it was last season heading into the playoffs, so...
This battle here for the 8th spot, Woodard, ooh, man, just barely. I don't think you could have fit a sheet of paper between his rear bumper and Aaron Brown's front bumper, as he's going to clear himself in front of the 95. That opens the door for Cam Caldwell. They're going to exchange a little bit of paint, or Woodard and Caldwell, and DJ Daniel says, I'm here, I got some momentum. This is a very sketchy situation for the top 2 in points. You've also got Aaron Brown, who's trying to preserve his spot in the Final Four, and all of them very close proximity to each other, almost leaning on each other. Again, they're off of turn 4 of the 2 pink machines.
Yeah, and Aaron Brown, again, he's still there, he's still in the picture. I mean, again, if McQuaid can point his way to the top of the race board, if I'm in, to be perfectly honest, if I'm in Tom Bourne's shoes, and there's an opportunity to hand this race win over to Patrick McQuaid, I'm doing it. Not necessarily for the reason that it's going to shuffle things up. It's going to hand McQuaid maybe his first win on the season, one of the best drives for him on the season. Mainly because I want that point set to be shuffled up. Because right now, I don't think... if you were to shuffle, if you were to take the races that finishes right now, and you were to take Patrick McQuaid and move him up to P1 from where he is and shuffle everyone else back down, I think Aaron Brown misses out. So it'll be Caldwell, Daniels, McQuaid, Bourne would be my 4, if that were the case. So keep that in the back of your mind.
That's a very good point. Possibly take the 95 out of the situation, a 4-time winner. I don't know if drivers out there trying to wheel their race cars around Kentucky have enough time to be able to think about that kind of strategy like we do up here in the booth, but it's very interesting when you talk to drivers and you actually hear about some of the things that they're
actually have a look at McQuaid. McQuaid's on the move, man. He just made the spot up on Trey Whitehead and immediately gets to the outside of Bronson Stafford. I think he's got this. I think he's got P3. And he's on the move, man. This is I just said Patrick McQuaid has an opportunity to point his way in here. I think he's listening to me.
Take a look here at the speeds as they cross the line, and Patrick McQuaid had the second fastest lap of the drivers inside of the top 5. He was actually about 4/100ths faster than second place Christopher Lawrence, who he is about to pull up to the back bumper of.
Yeah, and he overtook 2 cars on that lap. Lawrence is struggling. McQuaid has got so much tire underneath him. McQuaid has been sitting on this thing. He has been holding back the beast, and the beast has been released. Release that muffler, man. Go get him, Patty.
Now, the big problem for Patrick McQuaid coming into this race, though, is the numbers. He's a total of 25 points behind Kyle Gartner, and he's 32 points behind Aaron Brown. So even if he were to win this race, I don't know if he would have enough points to be able to knock Kyle Gartner out, and if Bourne could have enough points to be able to knock Aaron Brown out. It'll be very interesting and probably very close here down the final stretch as we close in on 50 laps to go. I'll tell you what, if we're going to have a caution, it's going to be back here in around the 9th, 10th position, because Matthew Rodriguez, Cam Caldwell, Aaron Brown, DJ Daniel, these guys have been leaning on each other. They have been chopping each other's noses off. It has been really dicey back in this area.
Yeah, but remember, who are the guys that we're talking about as well? Cam Caldwell, Aaron Brown, DJ Daniels. All 3 of those guys are in this pack. If a wreck happens now, and Aaron Brown's involved with it, his championship fight is over. If a wreck happens now, and Cam Caldwell's involved with it, his championship fight may be over. It's a big question mark, but I think there's enough people left in this field that it would be over. And it's the same for DJ Daniels as well. These guys are going to be so careful fighting each other. This is critical, Seth. This is a battle that doesn't need to happen.
That's a great point, too, with the number of cars that are running. All 26 drivers are still turning laps. Yes, 3 of them are off the lead lap, Vickery, Billiter, and Cato. But right now, if any of those drivers get involved in a wreck, all of them a faster pair in the hole, they could be leaving Kentucky tonight dead last, 26th. And that could be a huge detriment to them, could possibly take them out of a Final 4 position, depending on where the rest of their competition finishes.
And you know what? Patrick McQuaid, he just got past Christopher Lawrence. McQuaid is running in a podium spot. He's running in 2nd spot on the podium. Not just a podium spot, he's running 2nd. He's not making as much progress back towards Tom Bourne anymore. Bourne's broken the draft at this point in time, so he's going to need some assistance. I think if Whitehead gets by Lawrence here, Whitehead's actually got to work with McQuaid.
The question here is on both the 54 and the 77. How much tire has Tom Bourne used up trying to pull away from this field? He's got over 2 seconds in hand back to McQuaid. And how much tire has Patrick McQuaid used up with the charge we've seen him make to the front? Most of it on the outside line, passing his competition.
Well, the outside line's actually a lot better on tires because you're not trying to suck the car all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. You're trying to take a smooth line. You're not trying to put as much steering input that the car doesn't want to necessarily do. You've got a heap of line that you can just sort of drift the car out. If the car doesn't necessarily want to turn as much, you can open that steering wheel up a little bit more. But so it's a lot easier to do, and particularly when there's not as many cars in front hampering the air and the air quality that you're getting to the nose of your car. So ultimately, though, I'm just keeping my eyes on this second group back here because the lead of this pack just continues to change lap after lap after lap after lap. And Woodard, I think, is starting to hold up this outside line, so they've got to get by him quickly.
Rodriguez to his inside. Aaron Brown getting a run on the top side. Might swing up. Taking 3 wide. He's going to get to the right rear quarter panel. Woodard tries to block him, and he puts him in the wall.
That was a risky move from Aaron Brown. Again, remember what I said. Risky move from Aaron Brown. He didn't need to make that move. He didn't need to be there. He should have just sat there and kept shoving Woodard until Woodard was completely and utterly clear. Dive to the inside of Woodard. You know Woodard's struggling to get the car down there. They're going to make contact.
Oh, they are. They were bouncing off each other down the back straightaway. Brown sends Woodard up the track there in 3 and 4. And DJ Daniels going to put the 24 up the track again. Woodard, I think, is going around the front straightaway.
He is. He's in the grass, though, so no caution at this point in time, but his race will effectively be over. DJ Daniels, I believe Daniels has used a fast repair here as well, so he's got to be careful. That's damage that's not going to repair itself on the right-hand side of both of those cars.
Let's bear in mind, we just came off a short track race last week at Iowa. A lot of contact exchanged, a lot of disagreement over space, and a couple of rivalries either start or get rekindled. Keep an eye on that 24 because he is still on the racetrack, still running. If he's in the vicinity of that 95, we may not be done with this feud.
Seth, forget the 95. Do you want to remember all the way back to Phoenix? Who put the 24 machine out of that race?
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. That's a very good point. Man, going all the way back even to Phoenix. My goodness, who would have thought that that was still going to be going on here in the closing in on determining our final four? And that's the thing, too. You know, if you consider Woodard, a couple of weeks ago, we had him mathematically not able to get up there into the final four. He's got nothing left to lose.
No.
So he could be coming into this race now with the goal of, hey, I still got a score to settle with this guy. I'm going to make sure he doesn't advance to the championship picture either.
Well, the reason why he's thinking that is because the guy that put him out of Woodard was leading the championship. Come to our first playoff race. Woodard had control of the pack. He was the one that everyone was looking to. I gotta beat this guy. Yeah, Aaron Brown was on a run of form. Yeah, Aaron Brown was on a streak. But everyone was looking at Woodard and saying, hey, man, this guy's been off at the point the last few weeks. This guy's got some serious pace. We've got to be really, really careful about this guy. And DJ Daniels dealt him the death blow. So, in my mind, if I'm in Woodard's seat, that will be fresh on my mind. That is a world of hurt. And Woodard has had some health issues, particularly with a knee issue. So he's been driving through that pain to try and keep himself in playoff contention, only to get punted by a teammate, mind you. So, look, driving, when you're pushing yourself through that pain for a shot at a championship and somebody puts you out, yeah, that's going to hurt a lot more.
Saw a battle there between Kerfan and Stafford. Saw Kerfan with some damage on the rear end of his car. Not sure where that came from. He still has a fast repair to fall back on should he need it. Tom Bourne, really haven't shown him that much on our cameras, and that's because he's been out in the calm, out in front, out in the clean air, everything going on behind him over 2.5 seconds. But he has been putting on a clinic as of right now, and he is the one guy in the field right now that would love to see this thing go green to the end because he wants to just manage that gap. The thing he's got to worry about now is what is the gap between himself and that 49 of Kyle Gartner. At this point in time, it is 14 positions. But bear in mind, Kyle Gartner still has a fast repair, so we don't know necessarily the full potential of the speed underneath that Chevrolet. And we may end up finding that out sooner rather than later. Ooh, I think we might have had a car in the wall off of 4. Mike Tellier in the 47.
His night's just going from bad to
very
worse.
slow. Oh, he's coming to pit road, actually.
That doesn't surprise me. If he was if maybe he wasn't necessarily, was he in the fence? No, I think this is a planned stop.
So this could be our first cycle of green flag pit stops here tonight, and I think it's safe to say this is the money stop for these guys too when they hit pit lane.
Oh, he locked the brakes up quite deep. I think Tellier got a penalty.
Find out about that. How about Matthew?
Yeah, he got a penalty. Tellier got a penalty. Tellier's done.
Oh, boy, that is a tough break there for Tellier, who is up as high as second place here tonight. Actually, I think he was out in front for a brief time as well before Tom Bourne took the lead back from him. How about that 4-car of Matthew Fleming? Saw him sideways over in turn 3 when the first caution of the evening flew. He's all over the back bumper of Patrick McQuaid for the second position.
And he's out here for the best of the rest title as well. Like him and Matthew Rodriguez are going head to head for that thing. So, look, I mean, it's been really good to see the points battle continue for those guys that aren't in playoff contention. Behind everybody else. And I mean, he's up here, and Fleming, he wants a good result. He's got an opportunity for a good result. Vaughn just said on the radio he's coming to pit lane. I think the next time by. No, sorry, it was traffic. My apologies, it was traffic.
David Modespa on the 1, just ahead of Tom Bourne. Bourne backing off a little bit there, though. And some space between himself and Modespa. You saw Mike Tellier coming back onto the track, now 2 laps down with that pit road penalty. You talked about that best of the rest there, that championship going on. Right now, Wesley Fuller leading that over a tie for second place between Matthew Rodriguez and Matthew Fleming. They are 24 points back coming into tonight's event, so definitely still have a mathematical chance to make it a good 3-man fight when we get to Auto Club next week. So we've kind of got a championship within a championship battle when we get to the 2-miler next week.
Yeah, the top 4, and then, you know, multiple cars sort of competing. I think in the best of the rest category, it's down to, it's just Rodriguez versus Fleming at this point in time. I don't necessarily think that there's anyone that's still in contention for that one, so that'll be an interesting fight to keep your eye on. Guy's still running. I mean, Tellier's already pit, so he can go to the end. That says to me, Tellier's one of those guys that he's smart enough to pit early. And in my mind, I think the undercut here is quite strong, because you got to remember what times we're running in qualifying. Qualifying 30.1. Last time by for a lot of these guys, 32.2, 32.3, 32.4. These sorts of times. So they've lost 2 and a fair bit seconds. Nobody else has really started coming to pit lane just as of yet. So Tellier's going to have a whole big head of steam, and he's actually going to make up a whole bunch of places.
Kyle Gartner. Turn 3 for the 49.
And that's critical for Kyle Gartner, because he's gonna, if he gets an EOL for this, he gets the car repaired and he's just straight back to the rear end of the field.
And I'll tell you who this hurts. That's Zach Woods. The 60 car was down pit lane to have a green flag pit stop, lost 2 laps as a result, and is not in line for the lucky dog. Go back, see what happened to Kyle Gartner. Ran out the 4th caution of the evening. Ooh, he got some help. Is that 61 of, I believe that's Zirkle, that tries to get to his outside, kind of in a blind spot there.
The thing I'm looking at from the overhead shot, Seth, is that Zirkle comes down the track, so Gartner gets checked up on the inside lane, so he's got to go somewhere. He comes up the track, Zirkle's there, still enough room, and then Zirkle goes towards the fence and then comes back down the track. I think that's on Zirkle.
Another look at it. I mean, where Zirkle is, that right rear quarter panel, without a spotter, are you able to see that area as a driver?
Yes. He would definitely, even if you're not really able to see like the quarter panel, you would know that you're side by side because you'd be seeing the car up ahead of you. Even regardless of having a spotter. One of the benefits of iRacing is that a lot of the guys, if they don't run an external app by the name of Crew Chief, iRacing itself actually provides a spotter, which is actually good. It helps to create cleaner racing because the drivers are more aware of, you know, who's when there's a car there, car outside, car inside, car this, that, and the other. So it actually makes for a lot cleaner racing. So he'd be for sure there. His spotter would have been telling him that there was a car to his inside. He definitely could have been a little bit higher on the corner. The action for me is the jerky action that brings him back down the track. That's the one I'm concerned about for Zirkle. But at the same time, I'm wondering whether or not that's just because of the nature of the corner closing. So
I'm wondering, we went on board with him there. I noticed at one of our camera shots, it looks like Zirkle makes contact with the left front into the right rear of Kyle Gartner, and I'm wondering if that unsettled the car enough.
Yeah.
Or he was actually in the process of trying to save his race car when he came down the track and got Gartner again in the right rear.
And the other thing from Zirkle's point of view is, as well, all that checking up and stuff that's happening to Kyle Gartner's front and inside, he can't see that because it'll be in his blind spot. So, because that's exactly where Kyle Gartner car is positioned on the racetrack. So it's a little bit tough to say that Zirkle should have been taking avoiding action because of the guys ahead. Ultimately, this one will probably come down to a racing incident. Race control have just ruled it. You can say racing incident. You can say definitely it's a penalty in favor of Zirkle. All three decisions are definitely correct for different reasons. So it comes down to what the race controller actually decides in this input. And what he deems to be the critical factors leading to that incident, and he's put it on Gartner.
Gartner.
Seth, can you put away that crystal ball? I hate your crystal ball.
According to what I've got now, we shouldn't have any more cautions for the rest of the race. And
well,
so I think my crystal ball will be broken.
We're in line for a green-white checkers, I think, at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's going to be less than 30 lap sprint.
Yeah.
So I think we got a couple more cautions coming out before this thing is over. Kyle Gartner did take on a faster pair, no surprise. Christopher Woodard also took a faster pair on TJ Roberts. He took on a faster pair, as did Matthew Fleming. Fleming going to be restarting in the 5th position behind Tom Bourne, Trey Whitehead, Patrick McQuaid, and Christopher Lawrence. Kerfan, Stafford, Rodriguez, Daniel, and Brown. That's going to be the top 10. Lucky dog under that caution was Jeffrey Vickery, the first car 1 lap down, so all 26 cars are still running. Put back on the lead lap, 22 will be on the same lap as race leader Tom Bourne. Looks like Zachary Woods is going to be able to take the wave around here. Same for David Modespaw. So Modespaw is actually going to get the wave around to get back in the lead lap. Zachary Woods will take the wave around to go to -1. And Mike Tellier also there. I didn't see him because he was in the pace car again. He will take the wave around to get to -1 lap down as well.
Oh, the pace car and Mike Tellier, 2 different cars. I couldn't tell. I thought Mike Tellier was running the cautions tonight.
Could not tell until off of 4. Yeah, the Iracing Pace Car is sponsored by Flatout Racing Network.
And it's actually car number 47.
Yep.
There you go.
Perfect.
Look,
we got it all situated.
You know, Seth, my favorite color combination before I joined Flatout Racing Network was actually green and black.
There you go.
So, I joined the right organization.
It was destiny.
It was. It was.
You were a huge fan of the Green Lantern, one or the other.
No, just a big fan of green and black.
Stretching.
Sporting houses at school, motocross bikes that I raced when I was a kid. I rode Kawasaki's, and I was in the green.
There you go.
Green sporting house at school, so green. It was just natural. Apparently, I ate grass. That's about the only thing that I can.
Oh man, what were we talking about a couple of nights ago? The grass-flavored milkshakes. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say at the start of this race, is there actually a hot chili-flavored milkshake?
I don't know, but I did look up grass-flavored milkshakes. The closest I could find was matcha, and that's not grass. So, anyway,
Conversations are weird here on Flatout Racing Network.
They are indeed. They are. They're weird, but sometimes weird is entertaining. Oh, Tom Bourne. The car we're focused on, and he's having a little bit of a connection issue there, but he is going to be back in time to lead us back to the green. 28 laps to go here at Kentucky. It's been a great race so far. Seems to be setting up for a really good finish, and Tom Bourne, he's saying, hey, I want to build that 2.5 second lead I had before. I want to leave these guys in the dust once again. I guarantee you, he was one of the few guys that did not want to see that caution come out.
And if I'm in Tom Bourne's shoes here, I'm actually not hanging to the top side of the track on this backstretch. I'm trying to come down the track and trying to offer that draft support to Patrick McQuaid. I want the 2 guys that are directly behind me on the race circuit. Once I've gotten that nice, good start, I'm clear of them, I'm not at threat. I want them fighting. So, in my case, I would be drifting down the track and offering the draft and the tow to the cars that are on the lower side, because they've got the faster line through the corners as well. And maybe not necessarily from his point, but you can tell from our point, obviously, that Whitehead was ahead by a fair margin. So, this is the first time Whitehead's been to the point. This could be a new threat.
Oh, Patrick McQuaid. Oh, my goodness. He had his hands full. Alexander Kerfan got into his back bumper going into turn 3, got him all sorts of loose. He's able to hang on to it, but look at the loss of momentum, allowing Kerfan to pass him by on the top side. And you bring it up there with the fact of Trey White up in this mix. Right now, your top three all looking for their first victory on the season. For Bourne and Whitehead looking for first victory of their career. Lawrence has not been to victory lane since season 1, the second trip to Daytona.
And look who's actually played themselves back into contention here. Alexander Kerfan suddenly found something in this car. I'm really concerned once again that this is only going to be short run pace for the driver of the 99, and he's got a longer run here. He needs to make sure that he looks after these tires. Additionally, Bronson Stafford's out here for just more trophies to add to the cabinet. He's not in contention for anything. At the same time, he's harassing that rear bumper of the 77. He's going to be cautious with the way that he races him. DJ Daniels now back up a little bit further into contention. Now back up into a soft lock spot. Cam Caldwell right there along with him. Aaron Brown is at risk here. Aaron Brown at risk in a big way if Kerfan can get a muffle on.
Now Aaron Brown in the 10th position. Barely see him back there on the top side, just behind, I believe that was Cam Caldwell's number 12, looking back from the rear bumper of the 16 of Bronson Stafford, who mentioned the fact 3 victories this season, the first of which was at Michigan. We're going to be going to the sister track next week with the championship on the line, Auto Club Speedway, going to determine who hoists that championship trophy, as Tom Bourne right now about 3/10 of a second back to Trey Whitehead. Remember, Trey Whitehead actually started the playoffs out really, really good, had back-to-back pole positions, finished up inside the top 5 in those first couple of races, but then it just seemed like last week at Iowa, the week previous, it just seemed like all of a sudden it was going the wrong direction for the driver of the 33.
Yeah, and I mean, he's put things back together, and I mean, have a thought for his brother, who's no longer in championship contention either, who is, I think both of these guys were on the fringe of playoff contention last week, all of a sudden pushed to the outside and pushed a long way to the outside looking in. The playoffs this season, they've been up, they've been down. The listing has not been stable. The only names that have put themselves in there, I think, multiple weeks have been DJ Daniels, Cam Caldwell, and Aaron Brown. Every other name has cycled in and out of there at some point in time, except for the McQuaids and on backwards. So it has been such a melting pot of drivers that just keep adding new drivers in, pour one of the old ones out, pretty much right the way throughout the playoffs.
Looking at Kyle Gartner in the 49, came into this race 11 points ahead of both Alexander Kerfan and Tom Bourne. Took his faster pair on under the last caution, is
Got
only
pace.
in the 16th position, and he's only got 20 laps left to work with. Bourne is in the lead, Kerfan is in the 4th position. I believe at least Tom Bourne has enough points to bypass the 49 into the Final Four. Not certain about Kerfan at this point in time, but Kerfan's got bigger things to worry about. He's got to get ahead of Tom Bourne because those two came into this race tied for that 5th seed.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if he beats Kyle Gartner, if he falls prey to the Tom Bourne momentum machine. Bourne's just had this thing on point all night. Can we talk about the strength of this drive? This has been phenomenal for the driver of the 54. He's controlled the race. Normally what we see in BackFire is we see multiple different drivers taking control of the race at different points throughout the night. But this has been a Kyle Larson-esque style drive. He's had kind of control of the field right throughout the night. Guys have surged on restarts, come up close to him, been right there and thereabouts, and then all of a sudden, 10 laps into the run, Bourne just takes it and sails off into the sunset. So he's just driven a phenomenal race so far tonight.
And not to say he hasn't had speed at the previous mile-and-a-half tracks, but his 2 best finishes on the season were back-to-back thirds at Pocono in Michigan, a 2.5-mile speedway and a 2-mile speedway/super speedway. So definitely trying to quell the mile-and-a-half curse here tonight would be Tom Bourne, who, to your point, he has seen a lot of clean racetrack in front of him all evening long. He's had tremendous pace to keep him well in his rearview mirror, and even when he lost the lead a couple of times, he was able to get it right back again.
So feathers sort of nothing bristled, cage not rattled, and what are we, 18 laps to go I think at the moment, Seth? He's just... If he doesn't win this, I will be very much surprised. It's still possible for somebody else to take it away, but he just doesn't look flappable at this point in time. No one's really been able to take a candle to him.
I agree. I think the only person right now in the field that could beat Tom Bourne is Tom Bourne. He's just got to hit his marks here for these final now 16 laps as exchange for third place. Patrick McQuaid getting around Christopher Lawrence. It's looking like for McQuaid, the chances of him advancing into the Final Four, same for the 9. It's basically starting to fade into the sunset. They just don't have enough points right now. All the drivers they're trying to beat are up here inside of the top 10 with them.
Yeah, it needs to be an aggressive sort of finish, needs to be massive points overhaul to push somebody out at this point in time. But it's still not done, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, Cam called again. These other 3 cars that are in the playoffs at this point in time, they're attached to each other. They've been attached to each other all night long, and they're still there and thereabouts. And they'll be looking to defend each other. They'll be looking to probably look after each other. Some of the guys that are right behind them, though, I mean, Feathers could be Russell. TJ Roberts has been right there. I think he's been involved in a caution so far tonight. Christopher Woodard is suddenly all of a sudden trying to surge his way onto the back of this pack. If he gets to DJ Daniels, I expect fireworks to fly.
Well, DJ Daniels or Aaron Brown, who are both battling with each other right now. Yeah, cue the Jaws music for that 24 car, who is just at the tail end of this pack, and he can see the 23 and the 95, and he's still got about 13 and a half left to work with. You can see the aggressive move there on TJ Roberts. He wants to get up there to those 2 guys in a hurry, and he is fighting and clawing his way up, trying to get up to where those 2 are right now in the 8th and 9th position. Look at him way up the track there, trying to see if he can get a run on Cam Caldwell and TJ Roberts. He opens up the door there for Derek Sherman. We saw Sherman go down through the infield grass in the front straightaway. Nice comeback for him as he's going to battle with Woodard for 13th.
Woodard just running, he's just taking too much entry speed into the slower speed 3 and 4. You can't do that. You've got to back it all the way down. You've got to be very lenient on the right front tire. They were 3 wide there for a few fractions of a second with Joshua Builder. Builder's a lap down car, so Woodard would feel slightly aggrieved by this for sure, because this is cutting down the chance for him to get back up and get even with the cars ahead. So, I mean, he won't be happy about this, but look, Seth, honestly, I hope it doesn't come to this. I don't want to see somebody in the fence and have the playoffs that way.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen a lot of times down the close of the stretch, drivers with scores to settle, but if you make contact with somebody here at Kentucky, it's pretty much their race over. We've seen already the hits that have been taken have been very violent. It's torn the race cars apart, so if you get into somebody, it's basically their hopes all dashed. As we got good battling here with Matthew Rodriguez, TJ Roberts just behind DJ Daniel and Aaron Brown. This is for the final spot inside of the top 10. Closer to the front, though, Bronson Stafford, Christopher Lawrence, they just had an exchange for 6th position. I'm not so certain Christopher Lawrence didn't have a bit of a moment there into turn 1, because Stafford made that look pretty easy. I think the 9 might have used up his stuff here, and now he's just trying to hold on.
To go back and have a look at that, because they were on the radio. Kerfan and Lawrence were talking to each other on the radio as well. So I think there was some sort of an exchange there between those 2 guys.
Battle for 3rd, Matthew Fleming and Patrick McQuaid. We saw these 2 mixing it up for 2nd place before that last caution fell. Now both trying to get up there to Troy Whitehead, maybe make it a 3-man fight for the runner-up position. Kerfan, as you mentioned there, possible contact with Lawrence. Now he's under fire from Stafford. Stafford trying to make his way up into the top 5.
And again, Bronson Stafford, you know, challenging here for just trophy cabinet sort of stuff. He's just out here having fun. This is what he's doing on a Friday night to sit down and enjoy himself. He's not out here pushing because he's fighting for a championship. He's out here pushing because he wants to be out here and he wants to be racing a whole bunch of guys, and didn't really have much else going on a Friday night, so here he is. So, you know, great run from him. It's been very quick from him. I would have liked to have seen a lot more of him throughout the season, and I think next season we probably will see a lot more of him.
Obviously, I have to ask the question just based on the fact of what we've seen here tonight, but I gotta wonder what kind of a spanner in the works that 24 car is going to be next week if the 23 and the 95 advance into the Final Four. Oh no, Lawrence just took out Aaron Brown. He flat took him out. There's just no way. There's just no way that was unintentional.
I'm gonna hold judgment. I'm gonna hold judgment until I've seen it.
We'll go back, but I find it very difficult to, at least on the initial look, of that to be a mistake. Let's look again. Going into one. Brown on the top side, and watch how the yeah, it's cut and dry. There's just no room for misinterpretation there. Lawrence flat took out the 95.
I'm not going to talk about it, Seth. Forget it. Move on.
We'll take another look here one more time. Well, talked about it during the course of the season. We've seen rivalries continue on during the course of the season, coming to a head here tonight. And Christopher Lawrence bringing out this yellow flag.
Oh!
Contact with Aaron Brown. And
Oh.
gonna give us a restart with it looks like around 3 to go. Maybe a green-white checkered in regulation. We're going to have to wait and see. Well, Chris Woodard is going to stay out in the 24 car on 25 lap old tires. Everybody else, I believe, came down pit road. Looks like it was a 2-tire pit stop for Matthew Rodriguez, who's going to be the first one off pit road. Tom Bourne, Trey Whitehead, Patrick McQuaid going to come out in the top 5, followed by Fleming, Kerfan, Stafford, DJ Daniel, and Cam Caldwell. Believe the lucky dog under this caution was the 35 of Wes Fuller's, so 23 cars will be on the lead lap when we go back green. Again, not certain just how many laps we're going to have here when we do go back green flag racing. Well, unfortunately, this race taking a bit of a turn. Not necessarily for the better here. And it's certainly going to give us a lot of storylines when we head into the season finale next week at Auto Club. And we may not be done with storylines here either. I mean, as you mentioned, we've got the potentiality that this race could go into overtime with quarter restarts. This thing is not done yet. The checkered flag has not waved, and a couple scores could still be settled between now and the conclusion. But there's no doubt about it. It's going to be a bit of a pins and needles race, I think, when we get to the 2-miler next week, as we're still waiting for the lights to go out atop the Iracing Pace Car. All 26 cars that took the green are still running, by the way, so this, I believe, might be, at least at this point in time, if we don't have anybody out of the race with at least this last upcoming restart and maybe the next couple of ones, this might be the first race of the season where we have every driver that took the green flag take the checkered flag as well.
Yeah, I mean, it actually has been, a good night. Apart from what's obviously just unfolded, but yeah, look, I mean, the racing itself has been good. The long runs, this has been one of the cleanest sort of long runs and good old fashioned fights that we've had of recent note. It's been a phenomenal season, and it's been back and forth. Yeah, it's had its ups and downs. I definitely think at some stages there was some racing that maybe a lot of people weren't necessarily enjoying. I don't think that's the case as we near the tail end of the season.
So let's do a little bit of an update of the drivers trying to either solidify or make their way into the final 4 here for this final restart potentially. Jay Daniel and Cam Caldwell find themselves back side by side in row 5 and 9th and 10th. So they've done a very good job, even though they had to take fast repairs early in this race, of getting themselves back up into a position to solidify themselves into the championship battle next week at Auto Club. Aaron Brown, who we saw involved in that incident, is back in the 22nd position, still on the lead lap. Kyle Gartner right now finds himself in the 12th position. Tom Bourne and Alexander Kerfan, who were the first 2 out trying to make their way in. Bourne's led the most laps here tonight, been a dominant car. He's going to restart in 3rd place on the inside of row 2. Kerfan will be on the inside of row 4. in the 7th position. Of course, Christopher Lawrence, Patrick McQuaid, long shots there. Lawrence towards the rear of the field, McQuaid up in the 6th position. Need a lot to happen for their hopes to be able to battle for the championship, but still going to be 3 laps to go here in regulation with the possibility of going to overtime. We'll see what's going to happen as the older tires of Christopher Lawrence and the 2 right side tires of Matthew Rodriguez get ready to bring us back to the green flag for the 5th restart of the night.
There's going to be 3 laps to go here, Seth. I mean, these guys had to do something different. They've done something different. What can they do with what they've got left now? And Bourne got a great jump.
He did indeed. A less than a car length between himself and Woodard. Where does he go? He's going to jump to the bottom. Woodard looks like he's going to move out of the way for the 54. McQuaid is right on the back bumper though of Tom Bourne. And now Woodard gets up into Matthew Rodriguez, sends him up into the outside wall. Everybody scattering to avoid the 57. More contact. Woodard gets DJ Daniel. Bronson Stafford's collected. Matthew Rodriguez is involved as cars scatter through turn 3. And they're still wrecking. Vickery, Wesley Fuller collected up in it as well. Mike Sibanovsky, 8, 9, 10 cars involved. Oh, and now Matthew Rodriguez not happy with the 24 of Woodard.
I mean, he's got reason to be, because he just gets shuffled to the outside. They make contact. Rodriguez gets put in the fence. Does Rodriguez still have a fast repair?
He does. Rodriguez still
so he'll
does
be
have
okay.
a fast repair. See where the contact took place between the 24 and the 23.
I mean, we said this was coming.
Oh, well, DJ Daniel was in the process of trying to save his race car when Bronson Stafford got into the back of him. It's pretty clear to see the 24 came down and initiated the door bang into the 23 there on the back straightaway.
The only thing that's maybe saving grace here is if the 24 gets contact to the rear. And he does get contact to the rear. So that one, Stafford's forced the contact between the 24 and the 23, so there's no contention there. So that's at least good. I'm worried now, though, for the 23 machine, whether or not he'll make his way to the playoffs. And I mean, Cam Caldwell has been wrapped up in multiple incidents here tonight. I'm wondering whether or not he gets through this safely, and he does. So Caldwell's at least safe, and Caldwell's through.
It's a good call there. I did not see on that angle that Stafford got into the back of the 24 car as well. Into DJ Daniel, another driver that was collected up in that was the 83 of Joe David. So about 10 cars in total collected up in this one, and saw a lot of drivers there stacked up on the outside line when the 24 came back up the track into turn 3 that were either half throttle or still in the throttle, all just come piling in. There's Vickery, there's Zirkle, there's Fuller, there's David. Lawrence able to make his way through. Sibanovsky, I didn't really see him involved, but he does come to a stop down there in the apron, so I don't know if that was just out of self-preservation or if he did make contact with another machine. Jinkato also got a piece of it in the 2 car.
There's a lot that's unfolded underneath that, Seth. There's going to be a lot of torn up race cars towards the tail end of the field here as well. Let's take a look at playoff contention, because that's the critical factor here. DJ Daniels, big damage, very slow race car. I think he already took his fast repair. He's at risk. He's majorly in trouble. Aaron Brown, the strongest car in the season. Time to put a line through him. I'm so sorry to see that. Aaron Brown's had a phenomenal season. He wasn't at the point to start off with. He drove himself to the point through different stages throughout the season, multiple wins throughout the season, and his season is done. But that's the nature of the playoff season. You've got to risk manage your way through the playoffs. And like I said, it was not a lot of risk management going on from the 95 tonight. Unfortunately, the incident he gets involved with him, I don't think is necessarily on him, but it's risk management right the way through. Kerfan and Bourne, I think right now are sitting pretty. I think they're in. I think the critical factor is who's the next driver in. Christopher Lawrence was actually positioned to be the 3rd driver to jump in if something happened to him multiple cars here tonight. He's now lagging a long way down. This has opened the door for Patrick McQuaid. What a night he might have if he points his way in here.
Now, the one thing I will say in the case of Aaron Brown, he did get through that wreck, and he is up in the 11th spot, so I don't know if that necessarily still gives him a little bit of a lifeline to hang on to a Final 4 spot or not.
He's so tore up, Seth, that he's just going to get railroaded past. He's hoping for 2 green-white checkers immediately back-to-back here as his best bet.
Anthony Zirkle is out of the race. I added to the list 34 of Mike Sibanovsky, but I did not see him on the last replay, did not see him involved in any of that incident. So take him off the list, but add also in Mike Tellier. He got a piece of that as he was down on the apron and a car came down into his path, so he also sustained some front end damage. It's gotten to that point of the race where it's so much easier to be able to name off the drivers that still have the faster pair intact than the drivers that have already used their faster pair. And right now I'm seeing about 5 drivers that still have their faster pair to use. Correction, 6 drivers. Tom Bourne, Patrick McQuaid, your front row. They still have their faster pair. Alexander Kerfan in the 99. He still has his faster pair. Derek Sherman, Noah Owens, and Zachary Woods. Those are the 6 drivers that have not used their faster pairs at this point in time. And 4 of those 6 drivers that I just mentioned are running right now. Actually, 5 of them of the 6 are running up inside of the top 10 in the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, so good opportunities here tonight. That's what it's been about, you know, right the way through. And it's about keeping yourself clean, about keeping yourself consistent, about keeping yourself out of trouble throughout the playoffs contention. So, look, I mean, there's guys that have done it. There's guys that have done a great job of it. And, you know, a lot of the guys up here at the point tonight have done a phenomenal job. I think their races have been really, really good. They've had difficult runs to try and get themselves into the playoffs, but they've done everything that they've needed to do. If you have a look at the guys that are running a lot further down, they've put themselves in difficult positions around cars that they aren't allied with, cars that are against them, cars that they're not friendly with. That's risk management. Part and parcel is knowing who to fight, where to put your car, and how to get yourself to the end of this race. And there are some cars out there tonight that didn't do that, and there are some cars who aren't going to be in the playoffs because of that.
About the damage on DJ Daniel on pit road, a lap down in 22nd in the closing stages. Green flag back in the air. First attempt at overtime, green-white checkered. Tom Bourne pulling away from a 3-way battle for the runner-up spot.
Let's see how it goes back throughout the pack. It's quite deep, Seth, here. And remember what I said, there's a lot of cars with damage here, so we'll see how they can go. Can they get back to the white?
Look at Kyle Gartner up to the 8th position in that 49 car. He's got a shot.
Go, McQuaid!
His way into the final 4 as well. McQuaid. Oh, Cam Caldwell. Off the
they crossed the line.
Kyle Gartner. No yellow. No yellow flag.
So they got the white. It's over. It's over at the back end of this one. And have a look at McQuaid. What a night from Patrick McQuaid. Driver of the season for this guy.
3 car lengths, 2.5 down the back straightaway from Patrick McQuaid. Tom Bourne trying to go coast to coast, trying to get himself a playoff position. He's got 2 car lengths in hand over McQuaid off of turn 4. He's going to close out the deal. Tom Bourne, first career win in the BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series here tonight at Kentucky Speedway.
And currently, Patrick McQuaid is going to knock DJ Daniels out of the playoff contention, I think, for my view. Cam Caldwell? I'm not even sure if Caldwell's in. I really don't know. I actually think there's a shot here that we have 4 drivers, the 4 drivers that started the night in the playoffs, DJ Daniels, Cam Caldwell, Aaron Brown. Remember I said those 3 were the guys most likely to get in. Now, it's actually Kyle Gartner, I think, is the only one of the 4 of those guys that's going to make his way into the playoffs.
He's going to finish in the 9th position. You mentioned Caldwell. He crossed the line in 20th after the spin off of Gartner's nose. DJ Daniel officially going to finish in 22nd. Aaron Brown, he crossed the line in 11th.
Is that
going to be a lot of number crunching. My goodness.
I think with the races that Caldwell and Daniels have, Aaron Brown might have done enough. That might be enough.
Tom Bourne with his first victory on the season. Very likely that he's done enough to race for a championship next week at Auto Club. Turning it down into the infield grass here, right across the Quaker State Kentucky race logo. Big win there for Tom Bourne, who, as we mentioned, he's been there in the closing stages numerous times this season. He just has not had the luck in the closing stages to be able to get that checkered flag here tonight when maybe it mattered the most all year long. He's able to finally clinch himself flag and possibly clinch himself an opportunity at championship trophy as well. Lot of stuff to unpack from this evening's event. Let's take a look at the finishing results. Bourne with the win. McQuaid in second. Kerfan in fifth. Did these guys do enough?
Well,
Whitehead
hang
and
on,
Fleming
Seth.
there in third and fourth.
Yeah, I was about to say Trey Whitehead grabs a third place finish. Now, again, number crunching. Whitehead, I don't think he's done enough, but I think he's going to be agonizingly short of that playoff line.
We're going to try and stay here as long as we possibly can with the driver interviews and everything to give you guys who the official Final Four are heading into Auto Club. Fleming with a great run there in fourth place. TJ Roberts brings it home in sixth. How about Derek Sherman up in seventh? Noah Owens in eighth. I mean, these are a couple of guys that we really didn't talk about the entirety of this race. They sneak out top 10 finishes. Gartner in ninth, as you mentioned, the only driver this evening inside the Final Four coming into tonight that had a decent outing. And Joshua Billiter, connection problems at the beginning of this race, lost 2 laps as a result. He's going to get a 10th place finish here tonight.
I mean, again, remember what I said, and I've said this all season long, Seth, it's about taking the opportunities when you've got them. And there are some drivers out there tonight who have taken those opportunities, and they've taken the opportunities right the way throughout the season. I went back and remember what I said, I looked up, it was Saucier that barely got kicked out of the playoffs last time around. So Saucier was in that 24, and the 24 was Chris Woodard this season around and doesn't make the playoffs again. That 20, if I'm signing up for this league next season, it's not with that 24.
Sign up for the 24. Controversy abounds on that 24 car. My goodness. Here's a look at some of the other drivers that we were looking at here tonight. Aaron Brown in 11th place. Cam Caldwell back in 20th. Are we going to see those two drivers out of the Final Four? EJ Daniel finishes the evening out in 23rd position. This is going to be really interesting to see when the calculations are done who the Final Four are. They could be entirely different from what they looked like when we came into tonight, leaving this evening, heading to the West Coast. But let's see if we can talk with some of our top 3 finishers. A couple of them might be heading to Auto Club to battle for a championship next week. Let's kick things off with tonight's third place finisher, Trey Whitehead. Hey Trey, it's Scott and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Man, we saw really crazy racing in the latter stages of this race, but some good long green flag racing to get to that point in time as well. Looked like this 33 had some very good long run speed as well as some short run speed showed off there in the closing stages, but what little more did you need to be able to get up there and be able to pick up this victory?
Well, it's like you said, we had some really good long run speed, but the short run really was killing us. I mean, I knew we had a little bit of it, but if I pushed it too hard, then wasn't going to have a really good long run speed either. So I had to kind of sacrifice the short run for the long run, and it was working there. We got down to almost 30 to go right before that caution came out, and I was gonna undercut because I mean people could have made it until about 25 to go, and I was gonna try to undercut about 5 laps because I didn't think that'd make that much of a difference. But ultimately the caution came out, kind of ruined that, and it's just a all around crazy race. Like you said, there was some long runs, short runs. We definitely had the long run speed, as you saw. Like I said, during that run, we were able to keep up with Tom. But yeah, it came down to a short run at the end, and I was just barely able to hold on to third. So just glad we could get third and put Buffalo Springs Barbecue back on the podium, and we'll see how the points shake out. I don't think I'll be in it, but I'll be really close.
I mean, you've probably got to throw it back, and I think you'll say this about Brock's championship as well. Iowa just made the last week equation just too much. And what's the takeaways from the playoffs here from this season? And are you going to be back next season and having another crack? And how do you prepare for that next season?
Yeah, so next season, that decision is going to be made after next week's race. I can't really speak on it myself. It's going to be more about what our team owner decides. We kind of do what he wants to do. I don't really like running by myself in a league, especially a competitive one like this. But, I mean, yeah, Iowa, there was some boneheaded decisions, and I don't hate Aaron at all, but I think that 4 wide that he kind of clipped the apron there at Iowa and caused that big wreck, and I just barely got into Cam. Yeah, I didn't have a faster pair left that kind of ruined my race. And then Brock as well, he had some contact with TJ and he ended up getting on his roof. And so that kind of ended both of our really big hopes. But, I came in this weekend thinking, I could probably get something done. I thought I had the race win in the bag when Woodard stayed out. Hopefully I could have pinned a few guys, but that didn't happen as I thought it'd shake out. But yeah, like you said, it came down to what happened at Iowa last week, and we ultimately did not get the results we wanted there. And it just put us in too much of a hole, like you said, and I couldn't climb my way out. But I got really close, and I'm really proud of what we've been able to do as a team this year, especially Brock getting the first win of Sizemore here in BackFire. I mean, he's a really good racer. I taught him everything he knows, so he owes me that. But yeah, it was a really fun season, and like I said, the decision on next year will come after next week's race. So
We saw even with the long green flag racing, even when things would get spread out, it would accordion right back up again. Some good pack racing here at Kentucky, and we know we're going to be seeing the same type of thing when we get to an even wider 2-mile track next week at Auto Club. So what were some of the takeaways you were able to take from tonight and apply next week?
I think for me, on the short run especially, I didn't really see too much people try to use the top line, and I thought I utilized it really well through 3 and 4 to save that right front for the long run. And I mean, obviously, it's a multi-group track at Auto Club. I'm really comfortable with running up against the wall. You couldn't really do that here. You kind of had to run in the middle, but like you said, just kind of take that away from this, how well we were able to run the top side in this package, and hopefully be able to translate that to next week and try to get our first win, man. We've been really close a few times. I think this is my 3rd or 4th podium. I mean, we got to get it one day, so hopefully it'll be next week. But I mean, yeah, like you said, just got to take away the little things, and if I'm not in it, that's fine. Just try to, if I am back next year, we'll try to translate that into something even better next year. So.
Still, though, great performance for you here tonight. 3rd place in the 33 car. Congratulations on the great run. Yeah, we'll look to see if maybe you can cap off the season with that W finally next week at Auto Club. But for now, we're going to turn the mic over to you for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Yeah, like I said earlier, Buffalo Springs Barbecue, they've been on the car for, I believe, since the beginning of the playoffs and a couple of races before that. Really big team sponsor over at Sizemore Motorsports, so I'm happy to get them the results that they're looking for. Giving them TV time like this is always good for them and for the team. So hopefully they can be back on the car next year. And obviously Sizemore Motorsports, Ryan Sizemore, he's been pretty caught up with his new job, so he's not been able to be here during race day, but he's always there for me during the week for any coaching that me or Brock needs. So everybody over at Sizemore Motorsports and everybody you guys up in the booth for a really good season. Like I said, there's still one more race, so we'll see what happens next week.
Absolutely. But that's Trey Whitehead. He's your 3rd place finisher here tonight at Kentucky. Congratulations once again on a good run, and best of luck next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Hope it's a fun one next week.
All right, let's get a runner-up finisher, Patrick McQuaid. Hey, Patrick, Scott and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Man, I mean, we saw a couple of times that you made a charge at that 54 to try and get the race lead. You just couldn't quite get to his back bumper. What little more did you need to be able to get him and then pass him? Because it was looking like you found some really good long run speed there and could have maybe gotten the 77 up to the front.
Honestly, yeah, the 77 Muffler Man Chevrolet Camaro had really good speed tonight. Shocked me for sure. Me and TJ and Matt been practicing, and I was really surprised. But just talent. Tom Bourne's a heck of a driver, and he's been strong all season. So yeah.
I mean, man, I'm so glad to have you up in this booth. I mean, we've been talking the last couple of weeks, and it's been good to see that you've been going back and watching the broadcast and just sort of listening to tidbits and things. And what does this mean to you as a driver? Like, ultimately, yeah, I mean, it's not a race victory, but it's still a 2nd place. It's a tough track. You looked after the car. You drove a phenomenal race, man. Man, I'm so excited for you.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's been a long season. For sure, difficult track, but yeah, it's not a win, but the season that I've had, yeah, it for sure feels like one. It means a lot.
Well, Patrick, obviously a great close here to the season with a 2nd place run. What about next week? We saw some pack racing tonight. We get pack racing next week. can we have this 77 in victory lane to close the season out?
Oh man, I hope so. I'm gonna be working my tail off for it, but it all depends on points. I mean, I don't plan on playing nice with the playoff drivers that make it to the championship, but I don't know. We'll see.
That's Patrick McQuaid, brings it
But
home second.
can I say something real quick? Sorry. Can I do a quick shout out to Muffin Man, CBD, Alpha Lion, and just Project Dynamic, all my sponsors. They've been great to me and stuck with me throughout the season.
Ahead of me. I was gonna give you the opportunity for it, but you're way ahead of me there. Congratulations on the great run here tonight, Patrick, and best of luck next week.
No, I apologize about that, but
Oh,
I
you're
appreciate
perfectly fine.
it. Thanks, guys.
Still working on the points. We're getting an idea of what they look like, but there is one thing that we're kind of looking at here to get official, and we'll be talking about it in just a moment. But let's first talk to a guy that we do know is confirmed going to be battling for the championship next week, and that is tonight's race winner, Tom Bourne. Hey, Tom, Scott, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hey, what's up, guys?
I think we could see the elation and maybe even the relief out of the length of that burnout on the front straightaway. You finally find victory lane here this season, and maybe at a most important time, because this victory now secures you into the Final Four to compete for the championship next week at Auto Club. But first off, how good is it to get the monkey off your back and finally get this checkered flag? Because we documented you've been up there, 1.5-mile tracks, 2-mile tracks, the super speedways, in the hunt in the closing stages, have just not been able to close out the deal. You finally do tonight.
Yeah, it feels really good. Like I said, the car's been fast all season long. It's just the luck hasn't been there, and races I should have won ended up finishing the top 3 because of late race cautions. It seems like that's a common thing for this season, but once I got past, once that caution came out and I knew I was in the lead, I'm like, you know what? All race long, they haven't been able to catch me. And all race long, they definitely haven't been able to catch me on 2 laps. And right there, I knew I just had to run my line and get it done.
I mean, what a time to surge to form, too. I mean, there's only 1 week left in this championship now, and by my calculations, I'm pretty sure that you're heading into the championship week, and you've done everything you need to do, and you've come to form at the exact right time. What more can you say about that?
Honestly, I'm glad I came to form in general. It started off horrible at Daytona. I've been making jokes to my team like I'm doing a last to first challenge through the season for the points, because I ended up after Daytona I was the last in points, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna drive my way through, and battled adversity through the first 3 weeks of the playoffs, and I this race was just, I don't know what happened to the car, but I was on rails the entire time.
All right, so how about next week at Auto Club? I mean, it's going to be almost kind of like super speedway racing. You guys are going to be pack racing. I know everybody's going to be using all the lanes available on that very wide 2-mile racetrack. So have a strategy formulated at this point in time? Is it going to be play it by ear when the green flag drops? What's the situation there?
Just gonna try and go in and do what I did tonight. Obviously, Auto Club's kind of like Michigan. I ran well there. I was in the top 5 for most of the day. I think I finished 3rd or something like that. And just see what happens. Hopefully, be in the right place at the right time. I don't, the guys that I'm going to be racing against, they're all very good. And they were all, up there at Michigan and throughout the season. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, we can just get the better of them.
Certainly got the good mojo going into next week with the victory here tonight at Kentucky. That's Tom Bourne, your race winner. Tom, congratulations. We'll turn the mic over. Oh,
I've got news. Before you go, Tom Bourne, you are heading into playoff week as finishing at the round of 16 as the leading points driver.
Wow.
You did not expect that starting tonight, did you?
No, not at all. I was not expecting that at all. Just proud of the team overall to get that done.
let me clarify that. So that what that means is he's finished the round of 16 with the most points at the end of that stage. It'll get reset again. I think Aaron Brown might actually take the championship lead into the next stage of the playoffs, but you finished this stage as the leader.
I'll take it. You know what? I won something, so that's all that matters. And hopefully, we
Lost
can
the
win
first
biggest
challenge
prize.
complete.
Yeah,
It is.
You know what? You know what the thing is? Before the race, I was just thinking, like, you know what? I got 3 missions in mind: is keep the car clean, get the pole, and win the race. And before the race started, got 2 of those done and won the race. And so we accomplished a lot today.
Ticked all the boxes here tonight. Tom, congratulations on the victory. We're now going to turn the mic over to you for some Victory Lane thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for putting on an amazing broadcast every week. No offense, I love driving in the car, but I don't mind being up in the booth working with you guys. But G Fuel, Player One Coffee, Matt Rod Bronson, and Mike Tallier, they helped me out through the entire race and everything with strategy calls and everything like that. My girlfriend Kira, she's watching. She's been having a couple bad days. I told her I'd go out and win this one for her, and we got the job done. Family and friends watching. Sydney, I know you're always watching, so you deserve one. And like I said, just you guys putting on an amazing broadcast, and all the admins for having me here. Going to put on a show next week.
That is Tom Bourne. He is your winner here tonight at Kentucky. He's heading to Auto Club next week with a chance at the championship. Best of luck there, Tom. Enjoy your victory here tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Seth,
All right,
so it's news time. So the points,
it is news time.
the points are in. So like I said, Tom Bourne finishes stage 1 of the playoffs in the lead. The margin. Have a guess how tight this gets. Because it's tighter than it was at the end of last week. It's even
I've got
closer.
the points up on my end too, but I'll let you go. I'll let you go ahead. It's not a surprise to me, but go ahead.
Aaron Brown is the next driver at -5. Kyle Gartner scrapes into position number 3 at -8. 8 points covering our top 3. Second to third, 3 points. That margin continues. 3 points back, and it's a tie. Cam Caldwell and Alexander Kerfen at -11. DJ Daniels misses out. DJ Daniels misses out. I told you, you don't want to be number 1 in that points slot. And DJ Daniels has been there for 2 weeks in a row.
2 things that I'm noticing right now. The first thing is I've been watching, seeing if there's an admin call on what takes place in a tiebreaker with Caldwell and Kerfan tied for that 4th position. But regardless of whichever one gets in, the only driver that is going to be making it into the Final 4 for back-to-back seasons is going to be Kyle Gartner, who last season was the only driver that came into the Final 4 as the only one who didn't find victory lane. Obviously, Matthew Robinson not in the series this season, but DJ Daniel and Christopher Lawrence, neither one of them advanced into the Final 4. And here's the other thing, too. Last season, it was a 2v2. JKR Motorsports versus Rebel Racing. Right now, as things stand, if Caldwell tops Kerfan for that 4th final position, we got Sky Motorsports versus JKR versus Rebel Racing versus Radius Racing. 4 different teams represented in this season's Final 4.
And I've just received the update based upon who will be advancing out of the tiebreak spot. The final driver to be in our playoff 4, our championship 4, is Cam Caldwell. And I think he deserves to be there, to be perfectly honest. He's, for my mind, you take away tonight, I think he's had the best playoffs. The reason he gets in, and this is how it's decided, he had the best finish of a win in the playoffs. Now, additionally, if both drivers had a win between both him and Alexander Kerfan, it would have gone down to the next metric, which was best average finish between the 2 of them. Cam Caldwell had an 8.5 as his average finish in the playoffs. Kerfan, I believe, was a 9 average. So it's Cam Caldwell that's going to be fighting for a championship next week.
B is represented officially. It's going to be almost the same story as last season. The fact that Kyle Gartner is going to be the underdog story, the only driver going into that Final 4 that hasn't gone to victory lane, but also the fact that Tom Bourne was 5th. Tied for 5th in the point standings coming into tonight. And as you said, jumps to the top of the round of 16 after 4 playoff races with the most points accumulated as the number 1 seed. Now, if I remember correctly from last season, bonus points for wins during the playoffs do not carry over into the final race. Just like when we went from the regular season into the playoffs, everyone is tied. I believe it's going to be the same situation for these 4 drivers when we get to Auto Club. It's just going to come down to who has the best finishing position.
Oh man, you thought things were spicy. Next week is the, what did I call it? The milkshake. No, I've forgotten the name. the championship race has milkshake in its name. It's gonna be, it's gonna be a good one.
Have to ask the question, we've seen contact tonight exchanged between the 23 and the 95. We've seen the exchange between the 24 and the 95. Aaron Brown's a Final Four competitor. What goes on with Aaron Brown and the Rebel Racing cars next week with the championship on the line? I mean, they were willing to rough him up here tonight in a race that set the Final Four. Things could get very interesting next week at Auto Club.
Don't you? No, put the crystal ball away, Seth. Please, please. I don't want to see it. No, thank you.
This isn't a crystal ball. This is based off of what we saw here tonight. But oh boy, there's going to be a lot of storylines for sure when we get to that 2-mile speedway / super speedway next week. Theoretically, it is going to be like a super speedway race for these guys with the low downforce package. We saw the pack racing here tonight at the 1.5-mile track, so it's anybody's guess of who's going to be able to hoist that championship trophy at the close of that Auto Club event. But it should be a good one, a crazy race here tonight. A lot of jostling for position inside of the point standings, and the final 4 are set. It's Bourne versus Brown versus Gartner versus Caldwell heading to the West Coast next week. Thank you everybody for joining us here tonight. A big thanks to our sponsors here this evening as well, Mobility Appraisal Services and Muffler Man. And Scott, tell you what, the stage is set. Looking forward to next week's season finale with you. Appreciate you joining the booth here tonight.
Oh, are you kidding? I've got goosebumps for next week. Next week, oh my word. Next week is going to be, I think, probably the race of the season. We've seen some interesting races this season. Next week, just, it's got all the bits and pieces it needs to be. An amazing race.
Well, folks, who have you got for your championship winner next week? You might have to wait until maybe 10-5 to go in next week's season finale to be able to pick a winner, but it's going to be a good one. We hope you guys join us next week at Auto Club for the season finale of the second season of the BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series at Auto Club Speedway. Green flag next Friday night, scheduled to fly at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But until then, for Scott Rankin, I've been Seth Cole. Thanks for joining us here tonight, and see you guys next week as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.